All righty then. Well, a pleasant good night to everybody. I am Christ. I am disciple. And it's been a little while since I actually did a stream. So, first of all, let me get to the points. The stream is going to be on the progress that has to do with restoring the Snyderverse, and will have to do particularly with uh, where we go from here. But to do that, we have to look to the past, and then we have to look to the present. I have a little scripture. I like to begin with scripture. Let me just explain to you how this stream will go. So we start off with scripture, okay, which you'll see scrolling across the page. Then we'll talk about the history of the DCU and WBD very briefly. We'll talk about the difference between what the executives of Warner Bros. Want, what the audience wants. We're going to talk about the DC flops that have been happening recently. And we'll also talk about releasing the Snyder Cut in cinemas and IMAX. So all of these things we're going to try and talk about as we are here. Chris Brown, what's up, brother? It's good to see you. If you want to, you can always hit this link right here, and you can join as a guest right now and chop it up with me. We're gonna have a little organized progression on how we're gonna do it, and we're gonna chop up this for a brief, maybe an hour. So I don't want to take too long. So I know you guys are dying to talk about this. I mean, I see you guys on Twitter. I see you guys all over the place. We're going to try and keep it respectful. We're going to try and keep it honest. Whoever comes in here, whether you're pro Snyderverse, you're not pro Snyderverse, it's okay. Everybody gets their say. I will not be malicious or filled with vitriol. Once you're respectful, it's cool. You know what I mean? Let me start off with the scripture and let's get into it, right? We want to get on our way. We want to do what we need to do. So the scripture that I'm going to read from is a really nice scripture. It comes from Psalms 21. And I'm going to do verses 1 and 2. So I'm doing like if you guys pay attention, I'm doing like a reflection of 21. So 21, 1, 2. You understand what I'm saying? It's an inversion. All right, anyway. This is a song, and it goes like this. How the king rejoices. How the king rejoices in your strength, O Lord. He shouts with joy because of your victory. See, you have given him his heart's desire. You have held nothing back that he requested. I wanted to use that because that's applicable to us. I do believe we're going to get what we want when it comes to restoring the Snyderverse, for the quality, for just the extreme amount of just beautiful lessons that can be learned and taught to our children or next generation and the generation after that. And it's just a lot of good virtue and moral content inside of, I feel, the DC movies, the early DC movies, and I'm looking forward to seeing that shift back into that direction. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, Chris Brown, what's up, my brother? If you want to join as a guest, you know, and say your piece, please feel free to do so. We're now looking at the history of the DCU and Warner Brothers, right? So let's try and make this as brief as possible because most of the stuff you guys already know. So the DCEU is really what we'll be talking about. The DCEU started off with Man of Steel. Okay. Warner Brothers was the company that first produced Superman, 1975. And then after that, he had some sequels. He had Superman 2. You had Superman 3. Then you had Superman 4. Superman 1978, I believe it is. Superman 1978 was a tremendous success. It, you know, the first superhero movie that ever graced the screens. At the time, Warner Brothers had rights over the property. The second one was not as successful as the first. The original filmmaker was removed from the project, and another filmmaker was brought in to direct the project and finish it up. As a result of that controversy, we always wanted to see the Donner cut of Superman 2. and we still never really quite got that cut because there was so much information that was lost, and it was mostly an editorial process where the editor gave his rendition of the Donner cut, which Richard Donner somewhat approved. Richard Donner is, of course, now deceased. Um, so after all of that, Warner Brothers, after Christopher Reeves actually got paralyzed, they were in search for another Superman. But in the meantime, um, Tim Burton came on the scene. This is after uh, uh, Frank Miller had done the Dark Knight graphic novel. And Tim Burton wanted to do a version of that in his movie. Tim Burton, known for Gothic Tales and Tales from the Crypt and all that kind of stuff. It's Tim Burton. So Tim Burton and Beetlejuice, he actually did Beetlejuice as well. Tim Burton, anyway, did this sort of Gothic version of Gotham. And in that sort of exaggerated Gothic version, Michael Keaton was a very controversial actor that was by many people thought to be chosen for the role.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right. How are you?
I'm good, man. I haven't seen you in like a minute.
Yeah, long time. I just want to say all your lives are great.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I have no interest in James Gunn DC. I have no interest in it. In James Gunn.
I hear you on that, brother. I hear
And
you.
there's a massive strike going on now in the States, and it sets back everything. Everything shuts down. And
This is true.
if this strike don't resolve by year end, everything will be delayed. Even James Gunn DC may not be able to get off the ground. Many movies may not be able to get off the ground. Many movies and TV projects are going to be delayed.
This is true. This is true. But it is
Yeah,
necessary. The strike is very
yeah.
necessary. And that's one thing
Sorry.
I didn't have in my notes to discuss.
Yeah.
Currently, we just talked about a recap of the history of the DCEU, Warner
Yes.
Brothers. And also, we're talking about. I started all the way back from Superman, the first Superman movie, and we're going all the way down to the present
Yeah.
time. But we're going to do
Yeah.
it really quickly, very quickly, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Um, so if you want, you could chime in where I'm going wrong here. I'm going to take about 4 more minutes. So
Yeah.
basically, we're at Tim Burton now. Tim Burton, this is after Frank Miller's The Dark Knight graphic novel. He decides to
Yes.
make a movie. It's called Batman 1989. The
Mm-hmm.
actor that is chosen for that movie just came off of Beetlejuice. His name was
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, and people
Yeah.
protested it. People were like, "Whoa, this is crazy! Beetlejuice, Batman!" Right? They protested it, and he turned out to be a great Batman, as we all know.
Yes.
But he only stayed on for 2 movies because, as we all know, Tim Burton was removed by Warner
Yeah.
Brothers, and they wanted a lighter tone, so they ended up going with
Joel
what's his name?
Schumacher.
Schumacher.
Joel,
Yes.
Joel Schumacher. R.I.P. to him. Yes.
Thank you very much. Joel
Yeah.
Schumacher, also the man who did Lethal Weapon and all of these great movies. And Joel
No.
Schumacher,
No.
yeah,
Joel
Joel
Schumacher
Schumacher
did the
did.
Lethal Weapon. Richard Donner did Lethal Weapon. Joel Schumacher did do
Oh,
Lethal Weapon. Richard
no,
Donner.
Joel Schumacher did the movie with the guy who they had kicked him out of his job, and um he ended up picking up a gun, and he was trying to hijack the people who had fired him. Not Kurt Russell. Uh,
Mel Gibson. I think Mel Gibson starred that show. I remember one of those
no, it
movies.
wasn't Mel Gibson. It wasn't Mel Gibson. It was
Yes.
can't remember his
Can't
name right.
remember. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, but no. Schumacher was an excellent director. That's what a lot of
Yes.
people don't know. And he did a lot of realistic movies and just great takes on movies, great stories. It's just that
Yes.
in this case, the studio wanted him to lighten up the tone of the
Yeah.
first Batman movie, which was Batman Forever, because Batman Forever was supposed to be a psychological drama. And then the second movie, they wanted
Batman and Robin.
they wanted Joel Schumacher to do a very, very light, campy version of Batman because they wanted the kids to be involved and buy
I loved
toys.
it. I loved both. I love Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I love that.
Yes, but having said that you loved both of them, that's cool.
Yes.
The second one, Batman and Robin, flopped at the box office.
Yeah, but it made over 200 million at the box
It
of
still flopped,
230 million. But it
but
made a decent
but
money. But I enjoyed it.
but it flopped at the box office. This is very important to understand. It flopped. It made money,
But
but it
yeah.
didn't. It didn't break even. Right?
Yeah, but he and Val Kilmer butted heads. That's why they changed it to George. George Shuley came along. Val
Yes.
Kilmer was do the same, practically the same time. But in Batman Forever,
Because
he and Val Kilmer
because
butted heads.
the reason was not Val Kilmer didn't have a problem with Schumacher. It was the studio. Val Kilmer, where are you, Leroy? Leroy just came off. Okay, I'll get you back on. All right,
Oh, sorry, my internet is low. Sorry about that. Can
no
you see
problem.
me?
I got
Yeah,
you
my
back.
internet.
No, no, no. Oh no. Just a hold on. All right,
I'm
got you back.
right here.
All
I'm
right.
right here. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, 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 no problem. Why I wanted to say that is he never had a problem with Joel
No.
Schumacher. It was the tone of the movie that the execs wanted Schumacher to go in the direction of. If I came and say, hey, because he was sold, Kilmer was sold on a serious Batman, the
Yeah.
psychological drama that Schumacher sold him, and they didn't even do that enough of that. You know,
Yeah.
they really didn't delve into the psychological struggle he was having inside of him. They kind of, on a
Yeah.
surface level, did it, but they didn't really do it. And the movie was more wacky because of what's the guy's name, Ace Ventura guy. It was more
Jim
wacky
Carrey. Jim
because
Carrey was great
Jim Carrey.
as Riddler, and Tommy
Yeah,
Lee Jones as Two Face. They were good in it. I
yeah,
enjoyed it.
yeah. But it was still too. It was still too over the top, and it was a bit. What's the word I'm
They
looking
had, they
for?
had a they had a
They were. It
serious
was more,
version to it. A
yes, there
Joe
was a much
Schumacher
more
cut.
serious version to it.
Yes,
Yes,
it is. Yes, they don't release it
that's
as
why
yet.
that's why they say release the Schumacher cut because there's actually a
Yes,
much more serious cut.
it's around 2 hours
Of
and 45 minutes. It way longer than the Batman Forever cut. Yeah, more
yes,
serious too. Yeah,
yes, because Schumacher pitched to them a much more serious drama, and then the studio wanted him to make it lighter, and they wanted him to
yeah,
punch up the story because they felt it
yeah,
was too slow. And Schumacher
yeah.
wanted to take his time with this because I tell you, Schumacher's an excellent director. I saw him in certain.
Yes, yes.
It's really sad because now Batman and Robin. I gotta be honest with you, bro. I'm not a fan of
I love it. I love
that.
Batman
Just
Robin. Batman Robin is good.
I,
George Clooney was good, and Mr. Freeze and what's her name? Poison Ivy and Batgirl. I love it.
to
I love it.
me, it
Batman
was like
Triumphant should be made. Batman
I thought
Triumphant should be made.
it's kind of like you know what they were trying to do. They were trying to do the Adam West Batman, the kind of wacky thing, you know. But Adam West worked. The Adam West Batman worked
Yes.
for what they were doing. See,
1960s.
okay, let me
Yeah.
explain what I mean. Like the costuming of because of the fact that the three other Batman movies were serious. There was humor in them. They had
Yeah.
their moments, but they were still taking the characters seriously. They weren't
Yeah.
caricatures of Batman or Catwoman or the Penguin
Catwoman.
or you know it was the
Riddler.
stakes were real. People were getting killed in those movies, right?
Yes. Yes.
Batman Forever. Even people died in Batman Forever,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
In
Two
fact,
Face
the
was
way
killed. Two Face died in it. Two Face died at the end. He died at the end.
not only Two Face, you
Two Face
forgot.
died at the end of Batman Forever. He
Even though
died before he was dead.
Jim
Jim
Carrey killed
Carrey
it,
didn't die. No, Jim
but Jim
Carrey did
Carrey
not
killed,
die.
but Jim Carrey's character killed some people.
Yes. And Two Face
Remember
killed
that?
people as well. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to
Yes.
say. So in
Yeah.
all those movies, as much as it was kind of wacky and crazy, people were dying in those movies,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
that brings a serious tone to the movies, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, Batman and Robin, I can't tell you anybody who died in that movie because nobody died in that movie.
But it
Nobody.
was good.
Not even,
It was
not even
okay. I
Bane.
loved it.
Not even Bane. And so it was funny. Poison Ivy was kind of threatening because if she kissed you, you died, you
Yeah.
know. But it
Which
wasn't
was
like
good.
she actually killed some people in the movie. Actually, now I think
Yes,
about it.
yes, yes. Yeah, she killed some
But
people. Yeah,
yeah, she killed people.
yes.
But
And
she's
Mr.
like the
Freeze
only
turned
person
up
who
as
killed people.
well.
Mr. Freeze,
Yeah,
did Mr. Freeze
yeah,
kill anybody? He didn't kill
yeah. Freeze
anybody.
from a few people, policemen to death or so, but it usual Mr. Freeze. Yeah, but it
Okay,
was good.
okay.
It was good. It was okay to me.
Well, what I could say is though that that movie flopped at the box office, and what I'm trying to say is, even with the series of Superman movies that came out after Superman 1 and 2,
Yeah,
those also flopped at the box office. So
yeah.
Superman 3
Superman 3
and
failed.
Superman
Superman 4
4,
failed. Yeah,
they flopped. Now, you may say
yeah.
you like those movies too,
No, I,
which
I,
is
I never liked Superman 3 nor Superman 4. I never liked them. I never liked them. I liked the first two. And
okay.
Superman Returns was good too. Superman Returns made money. Yes. And I
It
love Man
also
of
flopped at
Steel.
the box office. That was another
Man
box
of,
office flop.
yeah, Man of Steel was good and Batman v Superman was good with Henry Cavill. Those were
Yeah.
good. And yeah, yes.
But
And
let's get to
Justice
it.
League. That time
Let's
was
do it in the
decent.
right order. So after Batman and Robin, which flopped, after Batman, this is very important. See, it's certain things I wanted the
Yeah.
listeners to hear. After Batman and Robin flopped, remember, after that, for a couple years, there was no Batman movie, there was no
Yeah.
Superman movie, nothing, right? And then in 2005,
We have the Batman Begins. Christopher Nolan's
Christopher
Dark Knight.
Nolan, that's right, Christopher Nolan came on board with Batman Begins.
With
And
Christian
at the
Bale.
time, the head of DC, at least not the DC, but the head of Warner Brothers, or
Yeah.
the vice president of marketing for Warner Brothers, was Greg Silverman.
Yeah.
This is very important to understand, people,
The clown,
because
the clown were running these run about that the clown, those cowards and clowns were running WB at that time. They are clowns
so
from those times.
no. Wait. Greg Silverman was not a clown.
No,
He's not
not
a clown.
Superman.
But before that, there was another guy that got fired because of what happened with Batman and Robin,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And Greg Silverman came and replaced him. Under
Oh,
Greg Silverman, we got Batman Begins, we got The Dark Knight, we got
the Dark Knight
Batman,
Rises.
The Dark Knight Rises, we got
Yeah,
Man of Steel, and we got Batman v Superman.
right.
We also got Superman 2006.
That
Yeah,
Superman Returns. Superman Returns.
Superman Returns. Yes.
Yeah.
So, we also got not only Superman Returns, we also got Green Lantern.
Green Lantern. And I love Green Lantern. Green Lantern was a great movie. I don't care what anybody wants to say. Green Lantern 2
Okay,
should be made.
okay, but it still
Yeah,
flopped.
yeah. Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I don't give a damn. I enjoyed it, and it should be
Okay.
made. Yeah,
Nobody's telling you not to enjoy a movie that
I
not
think
to
that
enjoy the movie.
Batman Triumphant with George Clooney should also be made. That should be made as well. George Batman
But
Triumphant.
but let me get back to my point. So my
Yeah.
point is, under Greg Silverman, those were the movies that came out for
Mhm.
DC,
Yeah.
and the Nolan movies made money.
Made money. Yes, they made big money. They made
They
the
did
most of
not
it.
flop. They did not flop. They
But
brought
they made
back
big money.
Batman's image, and as a result of that, by the end of 2012,
Yeah.
which was the last Batman movie that Nolan did, and his
Yeah.
final in chapter, the Batman comics and the Batman toys were the best selling items in the world in terms
Yeah.
of comic books. Batman
Yeah.
had become the number one selling item in all comic books. It doesn't mean MCU. It could be MCU. It could be D. That was the number one selling thing for, and
But one
DC
thing
was doing very well.
with Nolan, no. There's Justice League Mortal was about to be made. Justice League Mortal. He was
Yes.
the one who stopped it, and that's one thing I'm disappointed in him for. He was the one who
Yeah,
stopped Justice
because
League Mortal
no,
because he
because
didn't
he
want
did.
two Batman live action. He let his ego
Yes.
get to his head. That's the
No,
thing
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
like
no, no,
about
no, no, no,
Nolan.
no, 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 no. He didn't want anything competing with his Batman story. He wanted to finish telling his story. The person who
Yeah.
was supposed to do, I think, Justice League Mortal was
George Miller.
Miller,
Yeah.
George Miller.
He
Yeah,
was directed. But
very good director, by the way.
he
Very good
stopped it
director.
at the last second. He was stopped at the last second because of Nolan. That would have been a great movie. It would have been great.
Yeah, but I think. Let me tell you two reasons why I think it actually worked out the right way. One is because even though it was going to be a good movie, I think it would have taken away from the success of Nolan's Batman. And Nolan
No, I
wanted to
don't
just
think so.
focus.
I
Nolan
don't
had
think
made an
so.
Nolan had made an agreement with Warner Brothers that he was only doing 3 movies,
Oh,
right? So after he was done with that, that was it. It was a trilogy he was doing, and he was done.
yeah, yeah.
So as a result, he didn't want to, in between telling his stories, get his Batman confused with another Batman that begins this thing. Because after they start Justice League, they're going to keep on going with those Batman and everything. So he was
Oh,
right, I believe, very right, to because Warner Brothers was trying to jumpstart Batman again. He got it
okay.
done for them. But
Yeah.
he was doing a standalone. He didn't try to. Nowadays, now we have 2, 3, 4 Batman, and everybody's confused about that to start with, right? So it really makes sense that he did the right thing. He said, "Let me finish my story, and you can do whatever you want after." And actually, when you think about it, he did bring on Zack Snyder, right? He's the one that bring
Yeah.
on Zack Snyder and
Man
said,
of
"Okay,
Steel. Yeah.
yes," and he said, "Listen, this guy know what he just be doing. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put this guy in charge of getting your Justice League for you and your universe for
And
you
the
work."
thing is, he
So he
should.
did good.
Yeah, but Nolan should stay down. If Nolan stayed down, they would keep away from Zack Snyder. That Nolan, but Nolan
But
has
he
no
has,
interest
but
in no shared
Nolan has,
universe.
but he has to make movies though. He has to make
Yeah,
movies.
yeah,
He can't
but
keep
he
his
should
eye on
stay
Zack
on
all
and
the
keep
time.
away from Zack and let Zack do his thing. You know what I mean? That's the thing
But
now.
well, first of all, let me just say a couple of things, right? The first thing is he did stay with Zack with Man of Steel, but we get a little
Yes,
ahead of ourselves. Let me go back.
yeah,
Let me dial it back. So I said Greg Silverman was the guy in charge of Warner Brothers, right?
yeah,
And so under him, Nolan came into the scene. They pulled in Nolan. Nolan did a great job with Batman. He brought back Batman to the status that Batman was supposed to be at, right? And their best IP, Warner Brothers' best IP has always been Batman, right? Okay, so Warner Brothers was able to build back on Batman. But notice, Nolan did the first Batman movie in 2005. When was the
yeah.
second movie done?
The second movie was released in 2008. The Dark Knight was released in 2008, I believe. And the Dark Knight was
Right,
released in 2012. The
correct.
third one, yeah.
The same year, the Avengers movie with
Avengers
Josh Whedon came out. It's the
yeah,
same year the final Batman movie came out,
yes,
right?
and it made more money than it. Both of them made a $1
Exactly.
billion, but yeah, yeah.
And the point I'm making is Nolan knew what he was doing from start to finish. And because they trusted, Greg Silverman trusted in Nolan. Remember, I want to show you the difference between Greg Silverman
Yeah.
and the executives today. And
Yeah,
if you
that
go
was
on Greg
wrong.
Silverman's Twitter, you're gonna see how different this guy is. He really is a different guy. Greg Silverman trusted in Christopher Nolan so much. That's why Justice League Mortal didn't come out. He went with what the director told him to do. He didn't go
Okay.
and say, "I know more than you. We want Justice League Mortal. We're gonna get Justice League." He didn't fight with the guy. He
Yeah.
trusted, and look what they got. They got billions, right?
Mhm.
Good. Now, it is true under Craig Silverman, the Superman movie did not work. Um, um, uh, just now. Hold on a second, Leroy. Got you. Should be back on in
Yeah,
3,
yeah.
2,
The internet is,
1.
can you see me?
Yeah,
Sorry
I
about
got you
that.
back.
My
I got you
internet
back.
is low. Yeah, all right. Ready now. You're
Got you back.
saying the Superman
Yeah,
movie didn't, which one? Superman Returns or Man of Steel?
Superman Returns didn't work because remember, after Batman Begins, They didn't try to bring back a Christopher Reeve Superman. They were doing a continuity from Christopher Reeve's
Yeah.
Superman,
Yeah.
right? That's what Superman Returns is. That's why it was called Superman Returns. Just like how you had
Yeah.
Batman Returns with Michael
Batman
Keaton
Begins.
coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was Superman Returns was supposed to be that. Now, what we are forgetting is Tim Burton. This is before, mind you, this is before what's his name? The vice president guy I'm talking about, Greg Silverman. This is before Greg Silverman was there. Tim Burton had pitched a Superman movie
with Nicolas Cage.
That's right.
And it didn't get made. It never got made.
This was in the 1990s, right? Warner Brothers said, okay.
1998 or 1997, 1998.
Right. This is around the time when they was doing the Schumacher shit. I'm sorry. No disrespect.
Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah.
But Nicolas Cage was supposed to bring out a Superman movie. It was so advanced that Warner Brothers abandoned the project.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, Warner Brothers executives have a history, not Greg Silverman, but Warner Brothers executives generally have a history of wanting to go with light, bright, funny, goofy movies, right? They tried with Batman and Robin, it failed, right? And so they thought that Tim Burton's Superman was too dark. Right? It was too dark. Now, so that project in the 1990s, sadly, and I think Tim Burton to this day really is deeply affected by it, was abandoned. So he got the Batman rolling, but they didn't let him get Superman rolling. Now that's very important because when we come to Zack Snyder, you will see that the approach that Tim Burton was about to do is very similar to what Zack actually did. Not as outlandish, right? Tim had much more imaginative things about Brainiac and so on, but Zack also approached with a similar sort of idea, and we'll get all of that. So Superman Returns though failed in 2006. This is the year after Batman Begins, because if that Superman Returns had succeeded, then even though Nolan's Batman would never have interfaced with that Superman, they would have had no Superman, and they would have had Batman franchises up and going, right? But it didn't happen because Bryan Singer, they convinced Bryan Singer to focus more on the romance between Clark and Lewis, instead of focusing on Superman's role in the world and how he would reconnect with the world in such a way that the world would embrace it even more fully, right? Which would have been more like Man of Steel, right? So anyway, it didn't work. So obviously, through all this time, Warner Brothers had been writing, their different writers and different people writing the script for Superman and trying to make adjustments and all of that. So while Nolan was doing his Batman movies, you didn't have another Superman movie until 2013. But in between, there was a Green Lantern movie. And that also failed. So the only thing that was working for Warner Brothers at this time was Nolan's version of Batman. The Green Lantern movie didn't work. They couldn't get the universe started with the Green Lantern movie. The Superman movie didn't work. Superman Returns. And I just want to put a little cautionary note here that the guy who was responsible for those two movies and was being advised and consulted and was really deeply behind the process of both movies was Geoff Johns.
Geoff Johns,
Now, Man of Steel comes on the scene in 2013, 1 year after The Dark Knight Rises.
And that's a masterpiece. That's a masterpiece Superman movie. Very, very well made.
But when that movie was being made, Jeff Johns was not a part of the core set of people making that movie.
Yeah, because Nolan was there. Nolan keep them away from Zach.
Now, Jeff Johns
Nolan keep
had
them
been a
away from
part
him.
of every single movie except for Nolan's Batman movies.
Yeah.
Is that you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
He'd been a significant part of Superman Returns. He had been a significant part of
Green
the
Lantern.
Green Lantern movie. I'm talking about rewrites and notes and all of this
Yeah.
stuff. Johns was the guy kind of running that thing. But when it came to Nolan's Batman trilogy, he was not a significant part of that.
Yeah.
And it continued into Man of Steel with Zack Snyder, the guy that Nolan pulled in
Yeah.
to direct that movie. That was again written by David Goyer. David Goyer also written The Dark Knight. I mean, so many movies actually. David Goyer has written many movies.
Yeah. It's a great
I think David
story.
Goyer
Great story.
written Blade and just a lot of hits. He's got a lot of hits.
But idiots moan and bitch and complain, and it scares WB. That's the thing. These idiots, these fake posers moan and bitch and complain, and that really pissed me off.
Okay, so it's good that you actually started to talk about the Resistance.
Yeah,
Man
sorry
of
about
Steel-
that here.
No. You're making a very good point that we should discuss because we need to get the comprehensive history. Now remember, Greg Silverman's there, Christopher Nolan is there, David Goyer, Zack Snyder, but again, Jeff Johns
Toby Emmerich
is
was there
not
too.
a significant part of the creative process with this making of this movie. Now, this is the important thing.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers had bought, all the executives had been following Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan's this great director. Greg Silverman had allowed Christopher Nolan to have his way. Whatever Christopher Nolan wanted to do, he did.
Yeah.
And that was the only successful DC movie in the franchise for 7 years.
Mhm.
All the other DC movies that were presented during that time, whether it would be Superman Returns, whether it be Green Lantern Corps, failed.
But Man
So
of Steel
because
made money. Sorry.
we get into Man of Steel, but my point is, Christopher Nolan produced results. So
Yeah.
when Christopher Nolan spoke, the executives would listen to him, and they did. And he recommended Zack Snyder to do Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Now, when Man of Steel was to come out, there was a lot of resistance, like you said. There was a lot of people,
Yeah.
Now, mind you, Man of Steel came off of the heels of the Avengers movie that came out in 2012.
Yeah, it came out a year after Avengers, Man of Steel.
Right.
And Man of Steel, let me say something. Man of Steel is a better movie than Marvel's The Avengers. To me, Man of Steel is a better movie than Marvel's The Avengers. But way better movie. But people don't see it like that.
Well, let's get to that, because that's a very important point you just made. Man of Steel, I agree with you because, again, I'm not really a big Marvel fan. My brother was high up on the Avengers, but I wasn't, right? But no, you are a Marvel fan, but I am not. So I only started watching Man of Steel after I saw a trailer where Clark was answering Lewis, and he said it's not an S. On my planet it means hope. And I was like, what?
Yes.
You telling me the S on your chest is hope? So
Yes.
so that was what got me interested in it. Because I
Yeah.
thought, oh, another Superman movie. Right? That's all I was thinking about at the time. So that's what roped me in, because I was about God and Christianity and treating people right and the things like that. And Man of Steel turned out to be a movie that I actually cried in when I first saw it in IMAX. My first show was in IMAX, and I actually cried because
It was a masterpiece, a beautifully made
it's a
movie.
it's a
Yes.
very emotional, very tender
Yes.
movie, right? It's very nice. But
Yes, man.
here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Back in those days, Rotten Tomatoes reigned supreme. And the Rotten Tomatoes score was what people counted on to see if a
Yeah.
movie was good or not.
Yes.
And when Rotten Tomatoes, well, I didn't even know nothing about Rotten Tomatoes, to be honest with
I
you.
don't
I,
do them. I
I
know
went
about them.
into
I don't see them.
I went into IMAX. I watched that movie like about 6 or 7 times. I couldn't get enough of that movie. In fact,
I watched it several
I
times. Yes.
I bought a pirated version of the DVD when it came out because I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait for the DVD to come out. So I bought a pirated version. I used to play it over and over in the house. My mom was like,
Yeah.
when she was alive, she was like, "Why you keep on watching that movie?" And I'll be like, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why." I couldn't even explain it. I was just like, "Wow, this movie is just so cool." It blew me away, right?
Yes, good.
Completely blew me away. And so anyway,
Bathroom here.
yeah, no problem. So what I want to tell people and I want to explain to people is that the Rotten Tomatoes score, the critical score of the movie was very
Yeah.
low, right? And also now DC forming its own universe, the new boy on the block, all of a sudden
Yeah.
Marvel fans felt intimidated by that and they started to
Yeah.
act up, right?
And back to DC movies and call us names and
Yes.
calling me names and we're at war with each other over DC and Marvel. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Which is not bad. It's just competition. But the point
Yeah.
I'm making is this, though, that most people see or at least the people who think that Man of Steel is an inferior movie to Avengers, they say that because they look at the critical rating of the movie. They don't look at what the audience thinks. They don't think at the
And
audience rating.
They should
And
judge
also,
by
in addition,
themselves. Judge for
in a-
themselves and watch the movie. They don't do it like you and me and you. We judge for ourselves and watch movie. We don't rely on Rotten Tomatoes. We judge for ourselves and see the movie is good. That's what
right,
we
but
do.
we came to only learn that later on. At
Yeah.
the present point in time, we didn't know that. But here's the thing, though. In addition to that, remember Jeff Johns was not a part of in a significant way. He was a consultant, but he wasn't in a significant way a part of the making of Man of Steel.
Right.
As such, he started to stir up within the company a resentment for Zack Snyder.
Yes.
He also
Let him see eye to eye.
started mobilizing people in the industry and business to bash Zack Snyder. I'm tell you why. Zack
He's
Snyder,
strong.
before he did this movie, did a movie called, I believe it is Watchmen. He did.
Did Watchmen? I did 300, and he did
No. I'm talking immediately before this movie came out.
Yeah, Watchmen. He
He
did
made,
Watchmen.
I believe it was
Watchmen,
Watchmen.
and
Right?
he made
It wasn't
300.
Sucker Punch, right?
You know, it wasn't
Sucker
such a good
Punch?
one. He made Watchmen.
Right.
Watchmen. Mm.
But remember, Watchmen also didn't make money. It bombed,
Yeah.
right?
300 made money. 300. He did 300. That made money. Yeah.
His Dawn of the Dead 300 made money and the sequel.
Yes.
But his Sucker
Yeah.
Punch and his Watchmen movie and even the Guardians of Gaul, which came after, I believe, they didn't
Yeah.
make money. This is
Yeah.
very important to understand. So because of
Yes.
that, Zack Snyder didn't have the pedigree of a Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah.
So Jeff Johns couldn't attack Christopher Nolan because Christopher Nolan makes great movies. So he started
Yes.
attacking Zack Snyder inside and turning the executives against Zack Snyder. Now, here's the other thing that's very interesting. Here's the people who like the Jeff Johns comics and stuff. Jeff Johns, in a very cunning way through media, when he started bashing Zack Snyder, nobody knew it was him. I remember Fat Man on Batman started bashing Zack Snyder. I remember that very, very well.
Yeah, but the thing is, when Superman killed Zod, that was a great scene. He had no choice because he was saving innocent lives. They're saying Zack Snyder that Superman killer. He had to do it. People don't see it that way. They moan and bitch and complain about that scene. But he
That's
had no
another
choice.
thing. A lot of followers of Jeff Johns
Yeah.
started to, just out of the clear blue sky, started to attack that movie. Even
Yes.
before the movie, even before Man of Steel came out, they were talking about it flopping. And that was again because the
Yes.
industry had bought into the MCU after Josh Whedon had done his thing. They bought into the MCU,
Yeah.
and now they felt that this next universe, because it saw the MCU being successful, this new universe is coming up. They thought it would be a threat to the MCU, and so they started attacking it as well. So there was a lot
Yes.
of vitriol and attack because this was something new.
And
We
the
learned
thing
so much
is,
about
the fan
Superman.
Can I say something? The fan base started complaining about BVS. To do BVS.
Well, we went ahead of ourselves, though. We want to finish with Man of Steel first before we go to BVS, right?
Yeah, you're just
Yeah,
talking, yes.
Because Man of Steel was a critical step in the right direction for Warner
Yes.
Brothers, but because of Jeff Johns, because of the time where the MCU was now starting to take off, and now it looked like the DC was now trying to form its own universe. That whole
Yeah.
timing thing, that whole Nolan thing, is what really started these executives listening to Jeff Johns and starting to do stupidness again.
Yes.
Okay, so
You start getting
even though
caught.
Greg Silverman was there trying to protect Zack Snyder and trying to get Zack Snyder to make the choices he wanted to make, because Man of Steel had a critical rating that was poor, and in addition, because it didn't make as much money as they anticipated, they thought, well, this is going to make $1 billion easy, right? And they hyped it up and everything.
We made
And it made-
650 million. That's a lot of money. That's the
Which
highest
is-
grossing solo
which is-
Superman movie.
which is not,
good.
which is the highest any Superman movie solo has ever had. And in addition, it made a profit,
Yes.
right?
But they don't
This was
see
not
that way.
a flop, right?
It's not a flop. It made profit. But the
Yes.
Indians don't see it that way.
However, the media and everything came down like locusts
Yeah.
on them, and it was saying how it was a flop and all kinds of things, even though it didn't flop.
Yes.
They lied and all kinds. So it was a lot of media pressure. Yes.
Yeah.
So we had internal traitor inside of Warner Brothers trying to turn the execs against Zack, and there was also external vitriol because why are you trying to be like Marvel? Why are you trying to be more successful than Marvel?
Yeah.
You know. So there was that attack from the outside and there was an attack from the inside. Now, BVS was the next movie that came, and
that was a
BVS again
masterpiece.
was a profitable movie. Again, it was a successful movie. It didn't have to
But
make $1 billion to be
it come out
successful.
half already because of Jeff John, because Nolan never stayed on. And they released the 4-hour version to it later, months after. Later on, the 4-hour cut to it.
But here's the problem. Here's the thing that happened. It took 3 years for BVS to come out. So it was 3 years after Man of Steel,
Yeah.
BVS came. Two very important points people need to remember. One is when Zack Snyder announced that movie in Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con,
Yeah.
you saw the reaction. People lost their minds, right? If you do recall. The fans went nuts because this was the movie everyone wanted to see. Batman
Right.
versus Superman. People went nuts. And Marvel, which was going to do a Captain America 2 movie or 3 movie, I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah. But
They
because of that,
changed, I think they had Winter Soldier before that, right? Yeah, they had
Yeah.
Winter Soldier. So it's Captain America 3. The Russo brothers changed what they were going to do because they knew they could not compete with that.
It's not Russ, but it's Kevin Feige changed it to Captain America Civil War because of BVS. It's Kevin Feige.
Because of BVS, that's right. The hype
Yes.
on BVS was
Yeah.
at an all time high after San Diego Comic.
They were about to release the same day as Captain America, but they changed it. They were going to release the same day, but they released it earlier.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. After that announcement, the vitriol from Marvel fans, this is where the term Marvel Tard came from, was at an all-time high. They were so insecure at the time, they started attacking everything. When Ben Affleck was earmarked to become Batman, yes, some of us were like, what? Ben Affleck? I can't see it. But the Marvel Tards went nuts and started making memes.
Ben Affleck got great choice.
When the first picture of Ben Affleck came out as Batman, the Marvel Tards started making memes against him and clowning him and stuff. I don't know if you remember this. This was, I mean, it was tremendous vitriol. When Gal Gadot was cast as Wonder Woman, they said she was too skinny and all kinds. It's the Marvel Tards was pushing that.
Right? It was perfect. When I first saw her, I was so amazed. When I first saw it.
Then we got Henry Cavill as Superman and so on. So it was great. And then Jeff Johns came into the picture and he leaked Doomsday, if you guys do remember. Right? We had the Batman warehouse scene. We was going nuts when we saw that. And we said, this movie going to make $1 billion easy, man. It's easy. The hype on the movie was unbelievable in spite of all of the media and people talking all kinds of negative things about the movie. I remember they calling Doomsday one of those Lord of the Rings trolls or whatever they call them. You know, they started, and this is before the movie even came out. They were saying these things about the movie, right? Movie hadn't even come out. Then media started talking about it will be a flop, it will be a monumental flop. And you were like, what is wrong with these people? But obviously the media was very biased towards the MCU. And they didn't want another universe rivaling it. And they were saying that. They were saying DC shouldn't form a universe and all kinds of crazy things before BVS.
And then WB get covered and started listening to these assholes.
And then BVS came out and it made a staggering $300 and something million on its opening weekend. Staggering, right? And so there was like, whoa, and the critics, man, they viciously attacked that movie. And they had it at 20, I think it's at 20 something %.
Because
this is all because they felt that DC was a threat to Marvel at this point in time. Because this is the guy appointed by Christopher Nolan. In fact, I will never forget Kevin Tsuchihara.
Yes, he's another clown.
Demanding of Zack Snyder. This is one that Jeff Johns was able to turn. That he cut the run time. Mess up the man's movie. 2 weeks before release, Zack Snyder had to cut the run time down to under 2.5 hours. Okay, Kevin Tsuchihara, I'll never forget that asshole. And of course, Christopher Nolan doesn't know this. Greg Silverman.
He wasn't there. That's why I say Christopher Nolan should stay around to keep them away from doing that.
Yeah, but he was filming a movie.
He was like a paycheck. His name was just like a paycheck. But he should still there and keep them away from that.
But he was filming a movie himself, if you do remember. He was doing his own movie. So he did. Zach was still talking with him and throwing notes.
It was not interesting. Yeah, interesting.
The thing about it is, the guy who was trying to protect him was Greg Silverman. Because Greg Silverman is a guy who trusts in his creatives. And Greg Silverman had promised the executives this movie was going to make about 1.5 million. That was what it was tracking for, $1.5 billion. But the vitriol and the hatred and the disgusting nature of the people who are attacking the movie and just the media and everything and the critics caused it not to make the kind of money it was supposed to make.
These idiots.
Now, today, if the critics and the media and all these people come down and Rotten Tomatoes and all that, nobody's going to take on Rotten Tomatoes today. That's
Yeah.
because of BVS. People learn to just go and watch the movie and go and watch what you love,
Yeah.
right? So we've learned that now. Back then, I remember fighting for that movie, all kind of thing, and I used to argue with people because I realized a lot of the arguments and even the math, the meme was stupid. It was the stupidest meme ever, right? Again, Marvel Tars was the one doing that. Then that's because Captain America: Civil War was coming out not but a couple of weeks later.
No, it came out in May, and it made more money than BVS. But BVS is a way better movie than Civil War.
So anyway, the point I'm making is this: that BVS survived all that vitriol, all that hatred, and grossed in 800, and I believe it's $873 million. And let me say another thing.
That's a good money.
That's not all though. The merchandising was $4 billion in merchandising, of which the Batman comic was the #1 comic in the world again. DC was selling like mad. At the end of 2016, it was the peak year. It was the highest year of revenue for Warner Brothers and Associates. They made the most amount of money off the DC brand ever.
Yes.
Suicide Squad, which was Studio Squad, had longer legs than normal and actually turned out to be, even though the critics again flopped it, turned out to be a box office success.
I love Suicide Squad. I love Suicide Squad.
In spite of studio tampering of the movie, changing David Ayer's movie. Okay? And this is very important to understand. Yes, in spite of that. And again, that's because if you look, Zack Snyder was still over DC, but what I want people to understand is Zack Snyder was doing Justice League Part 1.
Yeah.
While that was happening, David Ayer was doing Suicide Squad, and Patty Jenkins was doing Wonder Woman 2017. So you guys have to understand, the directors don't have time to oversee the other people. So Christopher Nolan was doing his own movie. Zack Snyder started Justice League. He was doing Justice League 2 and 3. I believe it was 1 and 2. Sorry, 1 and 2. It was 2 parts.
1 and 2.
Right. And Patty Jenkins was doing Wonder Woman, and David Ayer was finishing up his Suicide Squad movie, which all came out in Comic-Con, and people were blown away. Right.
Yeah.
Now DC was doing movies in a regular. So DC had done 2 movies in 1 year. In the 2016, we had Batman v Superman, then we had Suicide Squad. And Suicide Squad was a highly anticipated movie as well, because again, we saw the Joker in there. We saw, this interesting arranging a team of criminals, people who are bad. It sounded, the concept was very interesting.
Big shot. Yeah.
But once again, Jeff Johns was able to get
Ben Affleck was in Suicide Squad. Ben Affleck was in.
Yeah, he was in Batman. He was Batman. But anyway, the point is that Jeff Johns got the executives again their confidence they rode in Zack Snyder. So he had gotten Zack Snyder. He had gotten Zack Snyder to look bad in BVS, and then he got the trajectory of these movies to turn to, he was able to tamper. They were able to tamper. Warner Bros. Was able to tamper more with David Ayer's project. All right, so they put their hands in it again. Then when Patty Jenkins came on the scene and she was doing her Wonder Woman movie, Jeff Johns was again there. But again, he couldn't really he wasn't in control. See, Jeff Johns was trying to get back control of DC. Yeah. Even though every time he was in control of DC, the movies were flopping. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
But he wanted to be numero uno. And so he got a little bit more, again, leeway with Patty Jenkins, because Patty Jenkins was really counting on him and everything. But still, the script was Zack Snyder. The stunt coordinators was Zack Snyder. Yeah. So Zack Snyder's presence was still in that movie to make sure they got it right.
Zack Snyder creation, that's a Wonder Woman this way, because of Zack Snyder, not really Patty Jenkins. Zack Snyder made Wonder Woman.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that at all. Listen. Would you have to understand about wait. No.
Not Patty Jenkins.
No. Listen to me carefully. The culprit in this whole thing is not Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins proved herself. She did Monster in 2003. That got an Oscar. All right. She did a number of TV shows which won Emmys and so on. Patty Jenkins is an excellent director. I'm gonna tell you who the culprit is in this whole thing. It's Jeff Johns. He'll slide in like a serpent. He'll con you and befriend you, and he's trying to get control. And then he slips away, and you take all the blame. Patty Jenkins, when she was collaborating with Jeff Johns, the best parts of the movie were the ones that Patty lobbied for. Patty fought for No Man's Land.
Yes.
It's the best scene in Wonder Woman.
They were good. I never got to cut out that scene. And Patty Jenkins said no.
However, Jeff Johns is the one that did the ending, which everybody doesn't like. Right? Patty Jenkins did not want that ending. Jeff Johns decided, no, we need to do the ending. And she lost that battle. When we say the executives, you know who the executives were? Jeff Johns, John Berg, they fired Greg Silverman. By the way, they fired Greg Silverman after Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
He lost his job. So Greg wasn't there for Suicide Squad. And now these executives, Kevin Tsuchihara,
these clones,
Johns, John Berg,
clones.
Those were the guys running the show. And so they started micromanaging Zack Snyder. They started, now they had more say and more clout. So they started to influence Aquaman that was coming up, the Aquaman project. And they completely messed up Justice League. And we'll get to that. So anyway, Jeff Johns, he was working with Patty Jenkins on Wonder Woman in 2017, but he really didn't have full control and say because a lot of Zack Snyder's people was working in that, so they was going to get everything right. Right? And Patty felt sometimes that she had to fall in line with what Zack was doing, but the truth be told, if they didn't keep those checks and balances on her, and particularly Jeff Johns, we'd have gotten a Wonder Woman 84. All right? So anyway, back to what I was saying. So after that, Zack Snyder's under pressure. His daughter, Autumn, dies. And Zack Snyder is under pressure now from Jeff Johns and John Berg. They're putting him under pressure. They brought in Joss Whedon. Right? Toby Emmerich is now head of DC. I'm the head of Warner Brothers. He's the new guy in Warner Brothers. And Toby Emmerich, he's Jeff Johns' buddy, man. As well as Kevin Feige. So more pressure on Zack Snyder.
These clones.
Kevin Suchiara is still there. Kevin Suchiara is still there. So all there. Those are the executives we're talking about. Okay? They're all against Zack. Zack's under tremendous pressure to deliver. So he says, you know what? Let me go back to my family and handle business. They basically kicked him off the project. And Joss Whedon took over. And Joss Whedon was a nasty dog in there. To the cast, to the work teams, to Zack Snyder's work teams and people in there, such that they got rid of Zack Snyder's musician, which was Junkie XL, and replaced him with, what's the guy name? What's the guy that named Joss Whedon, and what's the other guy that do the Batman track and all of that? Danny Elfman. Right?
Danny Elfman. Yeah.
Right? They mistreated the cast very badly, including Ray Fisher. And Jeff Johns threatened Ray Fisher, he's not going to work in Hollywood ever again, and he'll remove his cyborg. Didn't he remove his cyborg? Didn't Jeff Johns remove his cyborg? Have we ever seen Cyborg since then? In any DC movie other than Zack Snyder's Justice League, have we seen Cyborg?
Cyborg? No, Cyborg wasn't Justice League because of Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns put him in the comics. Jeff Johns put Cyborg in the comic because Cyborg in the Justice League because of Jeff Johns. You understand?
No, my point is, it's the same Jeff Johns flexing his muscles and flexing his power, threatening Ray Fisher that he would never, and he has a cyborg to replace him, and they brought in a cyborg into Doom Patrol, right? Doom Patrol.
Another actor.
Okay then. So Jeff Johns is the guy in the background still running DC. Let's get to it though. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Because he's a shadowy kind of guy. So Jeff Johns was known as the coordinator of DC or whatever the hell, and he was also the DC head, just like how Gunn and Safran are heads. He and Berg was the head of DC.
Yeah.
So they took over DC again, and look what happened. They produced finally. Jeff Johns got to do the movie he wanted to do with Justice League 2017. Got Whedon, everybody on board, right? Execs going looking for their bonuses. And what happened to the movie? What did the movie do? Did it make profit?
It made 650 million worldwide. Made a small profit,
but did it make profit?
Yeah,
did it make
they
profit?
cut out. Yeah, but let me tell you, just reading film 2 hours and 45 minutes of the movie.
You're breaking up.
And they cut down the movie to 2.
But it didn't make profit. What happened was it flopped.
Well,
because our box office flopped.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to do reshoots and they had Joss Whedon reshoot 80% of the movie, and it cost them over $300 million to make that movie. $300 million. And so once you multiply 2.5 by $300 million, you will get $750 million they needed to have to break even, which that movie didn't even make Man of Steel numbers. And this is a Justice League movie. You want to talk about BVS having Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman? But Justice League had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, Batman, Aquaman. It had all those characters, and it couldn't even make Man of Steel numbers because Jeff Johns, John Byrne, Kevin Tsuchihara, Toby Emmerich decided to take that movie from Zack Snyder and make it their own. Okay? And Jeff Johns was the guy who started to poison the executives' minds against what Greg Silverman had successfully done with Christopher Nolan and then with Zack Snyder. That's the truth. And they want to say Zack Snyder is not a good director. All he could do is make action. All he could do is make explosions. He's like Michael Bay, which he's not. Then they started saying he was a fascist, that he was supporting, you know, right wingers, and he's a far right guy, and he, you know, what's it? Aaron Rand. He's an Aaron Randis, and he's all about okay, good. You should be back.
Sorry
up.
about that. Yeah, my internet went down. Sorry about that. My internet is low and it went down. Sorry about that.
No problem. Yeah, so they said all kinds of things about Zack Snyder. Started a campaign, all kind of evil stuff about Zack Snyder. It's all Jeff Johns, people. And if you look, Jeff Johns has a record and a history of flops. Now, Aquaman, Jeff Johns was also, he took over Aquaman from James Wan, because Aquaman began, if you do remember, James Wan was talking about, yes, he was talking about a swashbuckling adventure and all that. But he
Zack
said,
Snyder was involved in it too as well. Zack Snyder was involved in it as well. And he made over $1 billion. It did well.
But wait a minute. It might have made over $1 billion, but let's look at it and break it down. Okay,
it was good.
We already know Justice League flopped. Justice League flopped. What did they do? They didn't put out Aquaman immediately after Justice League. They waited a whole year, the end of 2018, to put out Aquaman. And during that time, Zack wasn't there. So what James Wan initially began, you remember the picture with James Wan on the whale? Remember the whale? All right. You remember the logo for Aquaman? You remember the original logo for Aquaman?
Yeah.
Okay then. Do you remember James Wan saying that, you know, they're trying to troubleshoot how to talk underwater, or how not to talk underwater, how to communicate underwater?
Yeah.
And if you remember, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, what do you call him? Aquaman is a what? What do you call it? Atlanteans, right? The Atlanteans.
The Atlanteans.
There were different kinds of Atlanteans, but the Atlanteans used to communicate like how dolphins and whales and porpoises communicate by clicks and high pitched sounds, right?
Like bubble on the water, bubble, yeah.
No bubbles. They just speaking from here, from this part of the brain, because that's how whales communicate. They communicate through clicks and sounds through here, right? So if you listen to Mira when she was talking to the soldier in Zack Snyder's Justice League, she was going like, "Ow, ow!"
Yeah.
And she's going click, 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 click. She was making a clicking sound as well, right?
Yeah.
That is because Zack Snyder's Justice League was approaching the movie in a sci-fi sort of way. So if you live underwater, how would you communicate? How do you so
and James Wan did it well.
James Wan was trying to figure that out, and then eventually he said, well, they'll just talk underwater, which come from not him. It wasn't his idea to say that.
Gave him his blessing. Yeah, but Zack Snyder gave him his blessing
No,
for doing
it. I'm making a point. Wait. You have to listen first to get my point. There's a point I'm making. The point is, James Wan went from how do we communicate underwater using those sorts of sounds and so on to we'll just talk, which didn't come from James Wan. That came from Jeff Johns. All right.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you to understand something because you're confusing everything. I'm trying to get it to.
No, I'm confused.
Jeff Johns is the one that forced James Wan to say, all that sci-fi kind of thing, we don't need that. And I'll tell you why I say this. When you listen, wait, just listen, hear me out first. When you listen to shit, man, what's the freaking guy's? What's the boy who plays the Flash? What's his name? Ezra Miller, right? When you listened to Ezra Miller first talk about phasing and the quantum theory and quantum mechanics with the Flash, that he could phase through walls, he could vibrate so fast, move through particles and phase through walls. And then you hear him talk about the Flash when Justice League 2017 was coming out, and he said, he can run very, very fast. They're two different conversations. And it shows you this. Clearly, Zack Snyder wasn't in charge when he said the latter, he can run very, very fast. He wasn't in charge anymore. When Zack Snyder was in charge, he was talking quantum physics and phasing. And when we saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, you do remember the Flash was phasing. When the world was exploding, he was phasing. He's vibrating very, very fast. And his particles were judging all the particles that were flying at him. Right? And Ezra was excited about the Flash then. But when we see him talking about the Flash in Justice League 2017 promos, he was kind of drunken and he talking kind of funny and making jokes about things, but you could see he's not excited anymore about it. Right? Furthermore, fast forward to the most recent movie that we saw, which is the Flash movie. That just came out. Ezra Miller is making news about all kinds of crazy things Ezra Miller is doing. But why? Then I go and read an article saying that Ezra Miller did not agree with how WB was going with the movie, especially after James Gunn came on board. He was not cool with that at all. And he was arguing with the people and fighting down the creators and even Andy Muschietti about, you can't change that, you can't change this. What are you doing? Right?
James Gunn delete the scenes out of the Flash, which he should not have done. He should have left the scenes in the Flash. He deleted scenes from Ben Affleck. He deleted scenes from Henry Cavill and Gal Gadot.
Yes. Very true. I'll wait for you to come back in.
Those scenes.
hold on one second. I'm gonna just take a break.
Ending sequel. Michael Keaton. Yeah. Hey, John.
Okay.
Yes. Can you
I
hear
am
me?
back. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very well. Yeah.
Yes.
So I just had to take a break for a second. So I took a
Yeah.
break and now I'm back. So what basically I'm saying is that Ezra Miller, um, he basically was quieted. So all this stuff that started rising up about Ezra Miller, this and Ezra Miller, that
Yeah.
was to keep him quiet. So he wouldn't say anything
Yeah.
about what was going on. And I know he went through a lot of problems, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Um, but the point is, again, Jeff Johns had his hands on that property, and he's been having his hands on a lot of things. And that guy is coming in on this. I don't know if he's like watching everything Andy Muschietti is doing or what. But now that James Gunn is in charge, James Gunn is passing notes to these people. So Andy
Yeah.
Muschietti had to do whatever the executives were saying, and that's
Yeah.
what people don't realize. James Gunn is doing the same things Jeff Johns was doing, same
Yes.
things Tom
James
Emmerich was
Gunn.
doing,
Can I say
same stuff.
something?
Walter,
James Gunn has killed DC films. James Gunn is not going to save DC film. I'm sorry. He's making a big mistake. They remember they take back Henry Cavill and they fire Henry Cavill, and he meddling these DC movies, meddling Shazam Fury of the Gods, meddling the Flash, even meddling Blue Beetle, and he's meddling Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. So these
yep.
movies are failed because of this guy. So they're losing hundreds of
But
millions of
he's not on
dollars.
his own. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Like the same clan, Tsuchihara, Toby Emmerich,
Yeah,
Walter Amada, Johns,
all of them.
they're still there and they're supporting him. Now,
Yeah,
but before I can get into all of that, I just want to get back to what we were, which is Justice League 2017. I was saying that when you look at the changes that happened in Justice League
yeah,
2017, it's the same sort of changes you're here with James Wan. James Wan didn't want Black Manta and Aquaman. He didn't. He wanted to focus on the
Black Manta was a
relationship.
great villain. Black Manta
He
was a
wanted
great villain.
to, but
Aquaman.
he wanted to focus more on the relationship between
Mira.
Arthur Curry and his half brother. That's
Oh,
where he
oh,
really wanted to emphasize on. And he wanted
oh,
to show more of the world ending event that his brother was going to try and have happen. So
yeah,
that was where James Wan wanted to focus on. But once you got a guy who's now running DC in Jeff Johns, and you somehow partner up with him to write the script of your movie, he's going to have the last say. These are the executives that was forcing the creatives to do what they say. So it wasn't
yeah.
James Wan's movie. As much as James Wan wouldn't say anything about it because it made $1 billion, it wasn't his movie. It was Jeff Johns' movie. That's the
Okay.
truth. That's the truth. Jeff Johns had complete control then over DC. And what happened? Why that movie is successful? Because they ride on Snyder's name. They use Jason Momoa's love for Zack Snyder and support for release the Snyder Cut movement to
Yeah,
get Snyder fans in there to make that movie a tremendous success it was. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that because there was a lot of positive buzz for that movie as a result of nobody speaking against it. Not Marvel fans, nobody was speaking
Yeah.
against it because there was no competition that year, 2018. There was no
Yeah.
Marvel film coming out to compete with it. So that movie was allowed to breathe. And then
Yeah.
everybody was supporting it. They restored the Snyder First fans, not me. I saw that it was a Marvelized movie and I said, I ain't watching that shit. And to this day, I haven't watched that movie in
I
its
love
completeness.
Aquaman. To be honest, I love Aquaman as a DC fan.
You,
Aquaman was good.
you
I love
like
it.
you like anything DC, I know.
I
I
am a
know
true
you.
DC fan. I am proud to be a DC
I
fan.
know
I was a DC
you're a
fan
true DC
from
fan, but what I can tell you
1975.
is
I don't
you
give a
like a
damn.
lot of DC movies, you like a lot of Marvel movies, and that's
Yeah,
cool.
but DC
But
is number one and Marvel is number two
for
for me.
me,
I don't give a damn.
I didn't come to DC because I love Marvel and I love DC. I didn't come to DC because I came to DC because when I saw the Marvel movies, I didn't really. I was like, I grown ass man. I didn't need to go in the cinema to see
Yeah.
that. But when it came to the only thing that got my attention with DC is because of Man of Steel. When
Man of
I
Steel is a
saw
great movie.
when I was seeing the Superman movie and it was something about Superman and saying Man of Steel, I wasn't interested in it. I was like, another Superman movie. Try. You know what I'm
And
saying? That's how I saw
yeah,
it. And then
can I say something?
when I actually saw it had some depth and it actually was kind
Yeah.
of relating to us, that's when I got on board. And then with BVS, I really loved BVS because it
Yes.
was a unique movie. It was like unlike any other movie I'd ever seen. And on top of
Yes.
that, it was a superhero movie, so I really liked
Yeah.
it. You know?
The Chihuahua, especially the Ultimate Edition, the Chihuahua version. That is good.
Yeah, the
Ultimate
Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition. I have
Yeah.
never watched the theatrical since I've seen the Ultimate Edition. But the theatrical wasn't bad. The theatrical wasn't bad.
The
But
theatrical was
the
bad.
Ultimate,
Both versions were good. Yeah.
yeah, but the Ultimate
Yeah, but right now, can I say
light
something?
years better. Light years better.
Yeah.
Light
Yeah, but
years.
let me tell you something. James Gunn loads up everything because he replaced Henry Cavill and then what's his name? Zaslav bench Batgirl, and then he cuts out the scenes out of the Flash and all. James Gunn turns off fans. He turns
Chuck,
off fans.
I'll be honest with you though. I was happy when Batgirl was cancelled, but it wasn't James Gunn that cancelled Batgirl.
No, I know
James
that.
Gunn
I know it was James
James Gunn-
Zaslav. I know.
No, it wasn't Zaslav either. It was Abdi and DeLuca. So we'll get to that. So
Okay.
so going on. So Aquaman, yeah, okay. Aquaman was James Wan movie. You
Yeah.
know, it did well. But to be honest with you, the major reason is because Snyder fans supported. Yes, Wan had his people in China and Asia that support the
Yeah.
movie as well. But that movie really would have made about maybe 700 or something $1 million. It's the
Okay.
Snyder fans that supported it, which they got tricked by believing that they would get released the Snyder cut and Jason Momoa was fiery on it, and they went with that. And as a result of that, they got tricked, and they only knew they got tricked after Shazam. When they saw the shit movies that started happening after Shazam, they were like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
we got fooled," because we thought we was gonna get the Snyder cut soon and
And
thing.
they show the headless Superman. That's the thing. They show the headless Superman in it too. That's the thing.
That's Shazam.
Because Walter Amada said no to Henry Cavill. Walter Amada is not a clone. He's a clone. He didn't do a good job. Walter Amada didn't do a good job. You know what I mean?
Well, let's get to that. So
Look here. The
after
first
Aquaman
let me
came
know.
Shazam.
the
right?
first 6 DCU movies gross way more than the first 6 MCU movies. When Zack Snyder gone, it goes right down. The first 6
Well-
DCU movies with more money than the first 6 MCU
So
movies. When Zack
Shazam,
Snyder gone, it goes down. That's when Shazam came in, it
Right.
goes right down.
Shazam though was the next movie after Aquaman, and Shazam actually made a profit.
It made a
So
profit.
Aquaman made a
Small, but it
profit,
was small.
a big profit, and then Shazam made a very decent profit. And
Yeah.
the reason was because, and I really don't personally have anything against David Sandberg. I think he's a great director and everything. In fact,
Yeah.
even Shazam 2, even though I didn't like the blackface thing that he did in Shazam 2, I must say, David Sandberg generally, he tried to pay tribute as much as he could
Yes.
to Zack Snyder's Justice League and Zack Snyder's
Yes.
BVS. So I
Yeah.
can't really ever have anything against David Sandberg. The person who was a complete and utter idiot was the lead actor for Shazam, the guy who played the adult version
Zachary
of
Levi.
Shazam.
Zachary Levi. Zachary
Yeah,
Levi.
he's a clown. He's a serious clown. You know, he said all kinds of stupid things about, oh, the Snyder Cut doesn't exist, and he
Yes.
keep on trying to bash Zack Snyder, and he tried to bash David Ayer, and he just brought a lot of bad will to, and he's of course an MCU actor, right? He came from the
Yeah.
MCU. And I'm
No,
so sorry for
he
David
don't come from
Tambor
MCU.
because
No, Zachary Levi don't come from the NCU. Yes. He did.
yes, yeah,
He was
he
in
did.
Thor. Yes, he was in Thor. You're
Yes,
right.
yes.
At Heimdall. Yeah. When I do Thor's. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So Zachary Levi, you know, really soured people's taste for, you know, Shazam 2, and that's why nobody really went and saw it, because he just
No.
continuously
You know why I
took
blame for the failure of Shazam
jabs.
2? I blame James Gunn for the failure of Shazam 2 as well. I blame James
Absolutely,
Gunn.
yeah. Well, the buck always lands with him and Zaslav. You know, they're the ones that run the thing. So, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
They should
I
not know
blame
the
James
reboot.
Gunn for the failure of Black Adam.
Yes.
I think Black Adam, Shazam 2, and The Flash. He has done nothing for DC so far.
Yes.
But we'll get back to that in a minute,
Yeah.
because you need to understand what's going on, right?
I understand what's going on.
We getting there. Trust me. We getting there.
I just hope I'm not boring you. I hope I'm not
we
boring
taking-
you.
No. We're going good, but it's just that we're taking our time to get to the point. The
Yeah.
point, anyway, is that after Shazam, right?
Yeah.
We then have Birds of Prey. This was supposed to be a
Yes,
rated R movie.
Yeah, that's down.
But here's the problem with Birds of Prey.
The worst DCU movie that.
If you're going to have a rated R movie, it's going to be rated R because they're not holding back on nothing. And Harley Quinn's an individual. We know she's crazy, but she also is so crazy she could kill you. She might just kill you.
But Margot Robbie killed that movie with the woke thing and this that. And the story was weak storyline.
The problem with that movie was the director of that movie wanted to go hard R.
Yeah.
But the studio dialed that movie back.
Yeah.
They sent notes. No, you can't shoot the guard. You have to shoot him with that little one of them little things, right? So she was compromised.
Yeah.
The director of that movie was compromised. Not to mention the long title of that movie is just I don't get it.
Yeah.
So the studio, and let me explain to you who the studio is. We're talking about Toby Emmerich,
Yeah.
Walter Hamada,
These
Jeff
clowns.
Johns,
Yeah.
Kevin Tsuchihara. We're talking about those guys. When we
Those
say
clones.
executives, we're talking about them. We're talking about guys like that's still there, like Casey Bloys.
Those
Okay.
idiots, those clones.
All right. Those are the guys we're talking about. I want to mention them by name so you'll know who they are. Some of them are still employed with Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Okay. Others are working in the shadows. Josh Whedon was still writing joke lines for them. He still gets work with them. Even though he's done racist articles and sexist stuff in Justice League 2017, he's still working with them. The same crew still there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Birds of Prey, yes, it flops. Right? It flops. It doesn't make a profit. It flops. Now, here's the thing, though.
That's slightly small profit. Yeah, I made over 200 million. But
No, didn't make any profit. Let me tell you what. With movies, it's time dependent.
Yeah.
Investors have to get back their money.
Yeah.
So they didn't get back their money. They had it in theaters running longer than usual. And every time you run something in a theater, it costs you money.
Yeah.
They did not make money off that movie. That movie flopped. All right. After that movie, what do we have?
The pandemic.
Wonder Woman 84. Now you will notice Jeff Johns is not mentioned as a writer of that movie. But
yes, Jeff Johns and
Patty Jenkins wrote the movie. Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns wrote the movie.
Right. Now that is what is said,
Yeah.
but you will not see it printed anywhere. Jeff Johns is not. Now here's the thing though. Jeff Johns shows his ugly head once again. How many flops has Jeff Johns had so far? Let's see. Let's count in the DCEU, that is. We have Justice League 2000.
I don't blame Jeff Johns.
We have Justice League 2017. We have Birds of Prey. And now we have Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah, but it's Patty Jenkins. Patty Jenkins. The story is a weak storyline. It's Patty Jenkins caused Wonder Woman to fail. And the pandemic.
No. Yeah. I'm going to tell you why. Jeff Johns was the co-writer. So you telling me you got somebody who's supposed to be the senior writer, this excellent writer who can correct you on your story and sharpen it up and tweak it up?
Patrick Jenkins, her free will. Patrick Jenkins lets her ego gets to her head.
Was involved in that process. And Jeff Johns, as with Jeff Johns all the time, whether it's a Green Lantern movie, whether it's a Superman Returns movie, whether it's
I blame Patrick Jenkins as one of these clones.
Whether it's a Shazam movie. Who you think? You think David Sandberg wrote Shazam by himself? No, Jeff Johns was in there because Jeff Johns is everywhere. Because Jeff Johns wants to run everything. The CW, Jeff Johns is up in there. Jeff Johns is everywhere. Jeff Johns was in DC even after Jeff Johns was gone from DC. Why do you think that Diane Nelson had to leave? Why she had to leave? Then she says this cryptic thing. Oh, Jeff Johns, I'm no friend of Jeff Johns, and she just disappears. Why did she say that? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I don't blame Jeff Johns for everything. I blame all of these.
I blame Jeff the flunky,
for everything.
The guy who causes flops everywhere. Jeff Johns.
I blame Patty Jenkins. They let their egos get to their heads.
No. Just as how I will never say that James Wan single-handedly wrote Aquaman. That's his script.
I don't blame James Wan.
No, that's Jeff Johns. Okay?
No man, James Wan is a good guy. James Wan is one of the good guys. James Wan.
I never said he wasn't. I'm saying though,
James Wan and James Wan are not seeing eye to eye right now.
With James Wan's movie. That's what I am saying. I'm not even trying to pretend anymore. Jeff Johns messed. I don't care. Jeff Johns also messed with David Sandberg's movie. Jeff Johns also messed with Birds of Prey. Jeff Johns also messed with Wonder Woman 84. And Jeff Johns was there. Even with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Because guess what? James Gunn is friends with Jeff Johns.
And the pandemic have a lot to do with it.
Jeff Johns and Kevin Feige are buddies. And Jeff Johns was and in fact, Toby Emmerich recommended James Gunn for Superman movie. Okay? So James Gunn is just a nut. And Peter Safran. How can I forget Peter Safran? Peter Safran, James Gunn, Walter Hamada, Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns,
and they're not learning from their mistakes. They're not learning from their mistakes.
They are all in cahoots with each other and help each other. Oh, how can I forget one of the most important people, Josh Whedon? How can I forget him? Josh Whedon and Casey Bloys. Let's not forget Casey Bloys. Hold on, I'll get you back in.
Yeah, Samir, yes. Can you see me?
You should be popping in about now.
Yeah, can you see me now? Yeah.
Yes. When we talk about executives, and now David Zaslav's on the team, right? Because Alan Heinberg said to David Zaslav, you can trust this. You want to get the MCU? You want to get the MCU? Okay. Because David Zaslav came in day one and said, we're going to be doing things like the MCU, right? He did say that. He did. We just didn't believe him.
But it's not going to work. What they have planned now is not going to work.
Well, that's what they hell-bent on. Jeff Johns, all of them, right? They hell-bent on getting this crossover MCU DC movie thing going somehow, some way, right? And they're continuing business as usual with James Gunn. James Gunn is just the face of MCU, another MCU director, the face of the MCU to carry out Jeff Johns' plan And here's vision for DC, okay? Because Jeff Johns is back in control. He may not be there, but he's there. Running things into the ground, destroying shit like usual. That is what Jeff Johns is doing.
When Henry Cavill appeared at the end of Black Adam, everybody thought Henry Cavill would be back. And
no, remember? Okay. So this is the one time when Jeff Johns really wasn't. There was some legal ramification, but he wasn't really in charge of things. Even though Black Adam is once again produced by Walter Hamada. And the writer for Black Adam is who? Jeff Johns.
Look here. And Black Adam was the highest grossing movie of the Hamadaverse with over 300 million. He made more money than The Flash.
But
and Shazam, Fury of the Gods. And he made more money than Shazam as well.
But it was a flop.
But I enjoyed Black Adam.
My point is, I want you to understand. When Jeff Johns is not involved, you get a series of movies that don't flop.
Right.
And now, if the movies are connected somehow to Zack Snyder, they succeed, right?
They made more money. But when Zack Snyder gone, he gone right down.
They make back. Yeah. What Warner Brothers did, but it's not going to work anymore, is with Aquaman, they linked Jason Momoa to Zack Snyder. Because Jason Momoa was all for restoring the Snyder Cut. And he said they need to show the Snyder Cut. And he also was praising Zack Snyder for getting the role of Aquaman. Yeah. So as a result of that, Snyder fans said, oh, he's one of us. And they went out to their numbers and supported Aquaman. Right? That's why Aquaman made all that money. Okay? And the highest DCU movie. It had nothing to do with the quality of the movie, because now, several years later, a lot of Snyder fans say that movie's a bunch of crap. They say that now.
I love Aquaman. Aquaman is a great movie.
Right. That's good for you. You are an exception to the rule.
Yeah, but I'm a no fake fan. Many of these idiots are fake posers. I'm a true fan. I'm a fan of all
things. No, but the point is, well, so I'm not a fake poser. I'm as real as they get, but I just am not a fan of Aquaman. I stayed true to myself, and I said I'm not watching that movie, and I never watched the movie. I never paid money to watch it,
and I think it's good.
Aquaman is never saw the movie. And whatever I saw the movie, I said, look at this thing. This is a Marvel flick. They're not taking Aquaman seriously. He on an adventure, but it's a whole set of stupid jokes in between. And now some of the jokes real force. You know what I mean?
Can I say something? James Wan is ruining Aquaman and the Last Kingdom now by cutting out Ben Affleck scene, cutting out the scenes out of it.
You can't blame James Wan. See, I told you. I'm saying again. No, wait, hold up. Wait.
James Gunn. Not James Wan. James Gunn. Not James Wan. James Gunn.
Yes. Okay.
See, he and James Wan are not seeing eye to eye now. He and James Wan not seeing eye to eye. James Wan is upset right now where he's taking Aquaman.
So hold on. No.
James Gunn, not James Wan.
Wait. I got you. But I want to say my piece now. James Wan can't say anything about James Gunn changing this movie. Why? He let Jeff Johns change his first movie. He compromised.
He cannot do anything about it, but he's upset.
Jeff Johns and John Berg. And they changed up the first Aquaman movie. Right?
That's the thing.
After these executives realized they could do that, they've been doing it ever since. And when I say these executives, I mean
they're not learning from their mistakes.
Now, let me make this abundantly clear. I'm not talking about John Berg. John Berg is working somewhere else.
I know.
John Berg is not involved in this at all. He was involved in Justice League 2017. He apologized to Ray Fisher and he went his way. So we're not talking about John Berg. We're not going to dirty John Berg's name. But the following people are to be blamed. And that's why I said it is not James Wan's movie that you saw with Aquaman, but James Wan is going to take credit for it. But James
Right.
Wan wanted to do a number of things with the first Aquaman movie, and Jeff Johns wrote him because Jeff Johns was the head of DC at the time. Okay, and just
Okay.
for the sake of just getting everything out of the way, after the Justice League movie, there was supposed to be a Batman movie by Ben Affleck.
Yes.
Who was writing the movie with Ben? Come on now, say the name.
Jeff Johns.
All right
Jeff Johns?
then. All right then. And what happened was Jeff Johns was pulling rank on Ben Affleck and telling him you had to do this and you had to do that and putting pressure on Ben
Yes.
Affleck.
But
That's
I
why Ben
heard-
Affleck
can I say
left that
something?
project.
I
And
heard
what did Jeff Johns do after
He
Ben left
hired Matt Reeves behind Ben
Oh,
Affleck's back.
okay then. Thank
But I
you.
heard Ben Affleck told him to F off. Ben Affleck told Jeff Johns to F off. I hear. And I believe that.
I wouldn't be surprised because he's a
Yes.
dog. And he knows because Jeff Johns was nasty to all of them and allowed Josh Whedon to be nasty to all of them, particularly because he
And
didn't
Matt Reeves
personally
said
do it.
he's not going to work with Ben Affleck. Matt Reeves loves his ego. That's why they hired Robert Pattinson.
But
Right now.
Justice League 2017 was the beginning of the end because Jeff Johns got to do whatever the hell he wanted to do, and he felt he could get away with everything scotch-free. And to
Yeah,
this
but-
day, this guy,
I don't
snake.
blame Jeff Johns for everything. Don't blame Jeff
I
Johns.
blame
everybody
Jeff Johns and the whole cabal
all of
of
these
those
idiots.
executives.
Kevin
I blame
Sugihara,
Toby
Toby Emmerich, and those idiots.
Walter Amada, Jeff Johns, Kevin
James
Sugihara. That's their
Yeah.
little clique.
Toby
Casey
Emmerich.
Blois and
All those idiots.
Ryan Sarnoff. I wouldn't blame Jason Keeler too much because Jason
No.
Keeler, he was set up. But I will
Yeah.
blame James Gunn, Peter Safran.
Gunn.
I know
Peter
some of their
Safran,
names,
David
so I'm gonna
Zaslav.
call them.
Yeah, all of them.
I'm
All
calling
of
them
these
all out.
idiots. Not just James, not just Jeff Johns alone. All of those.
All of them.
And- yeah.
All of them.
All
In
of them, they're
codes.
not learning from their mistakes. They're not learning from
Oh,
their
no, no,
mistakes.
no,
They're
no,
making
no,
the
no,
same
not
mistakes
at all.
over and over again.
So what I'm trying to tell you though is you can't look at the creatives and blame them and point fingers at them. Like how you blaming Patty, how you was blaming what's the other guy?
yes, Patty
um,
Jenkins let her ego get
And,
to her head.
and Birds of Prey lady. The Birds of Prey. You have to understand the creators
But
had a fight
what's
against
her name?
there's
Margot Robbie let
the
her ego get to her
creators
head.
had
as
a
well.
fight against these executives, boy. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to tell you. There's had to be Patty Jenkins had to fight for No Man's Land scene. She had to fight
Yes.
hard to get it. Who you think the executives
But-
was? You think the executives was the same co-writer with her? Jeff Johns was one of the executives. Why you don't understand Jeff Johns the executive?
Yes, but Kevin Sugihara and those idiots, those
All of them.
clowns.
All
I
of
blame
them.
all those clowns.
But primarily the man who started this nonsense was Jeff Johns. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
But
He's the one that started it to him.
You know
He's
who
the one.
started?
No,
It's the fans who complain. The fans who
I
moan
blame
and bitch and
him
complain.
because he's the one that started turning the executives against Zack Snyder.
Yeah, but it's the fans who complain about complain. The fan base who complain
No,
that they get scared
He
of those.
started everything.
These
That's what I'm trying to tell you. He started everything. That nasty guy. And now he's in complete control of DC and it's flopping like crazy.
Yeah, but it's not him alone. It's a fan base, the idiots who come on YouTubers
Nah,
and those
fans-
idiots who
fans
complain
don't
about
just say that.
videos.
Fans
Come
don't
to
just
Man
say
of
that
Steel
out of
is
thin
too
air,
dark.
bro.
Man of Steel is too
Fans
this.
don't
Man
just
of
say
Steel is
that out
too
of
dark.
thin air. I disagree. The fans didn't just say that out of thin air. That came from Jeff Johns. The people who was Jeff Johns fans, he agitated them. He started using the media to propagate
Yeah.
these lies about Zack Snyder. Then his fan base, people who used to read his comics, who love his comics, they started siding with him. That's how it started happening. Is he again initiated everything, and right now he running things with James Gunn. And all of them that get fired or supposedly fired, they're still around, and
Yeah.
Josh Whedon's still doing work for them.
And it's the strike
And
going
he's
on now.
still writing.
Yeah.
Guess who's writing Aquaman 2? Who you think's writing Aquaman 2? Come on now, say the name.
Who? Jeff Johns and James Wan.
Okay, then.
But what I'm saying
My point.
is, right now,
That's my point.
yeah,
Who you think is going to be the shadow writer for Blue Beetle? and throwing jabs and all of that. Who do you think it is? Yeah, okay, James Gunn is going to be there doing rewrites,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. But guess who's writing Blue Beetle? Jeff
Jeff Johns.
Johns, bro. Jeff Johns.
But they're not going to save DC. Sorry, they're not going to save DC. And with the strike going on now,
James
he may
Gunn
not be able to
never
get off the
saved
ground.
anything. The only thing he's successful with was his name in it, because
Yeah.
he had a role to play in it, is Wonder Woman 2017 and Aquaman 2018. And the only reason that is so is because, remember, Aquaman, all the pre-done work and story and everything was written before Jeff Johns was on the project. Even with Wonder Woman, that story was already written by Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
And it's good. And it was good.
And with Aquaman, guess who was writing Aquaman and troubleshooting it all the time? You think it was Jeff Johns? No, he came in later. It was the same James Wan.
Will be James
Remember,
Wan.
Aquaman was co-written with James Wan. James Wan wrote the story, and Zack Snyder had laid out what the story would have been. It had to do with the Justice League and everything. It was supposed to be like something of Atlantis. I forget what it's called. Just like the Throne of Atlantis. It was something like that. Oh. It was supposed to be something like that. That's why James Wan was trying to troubleshoot certain things. So Zack had kind of laid out a story. Then James Wan took it and rewrote it. And then, I don't want to curse, Jeff Johns came on the scene. And then because Jeff Johns had so much power because he got rid of Zack Snyder.
But the storyline was good. But Aquaman was turned out to be good. Aquaman was good.
Nobody's saying no. But listen to me carefully. Nobody's saying Aquaman didn't turn out to be a blockbuster hit.
No, but it's good. Apart from being
what we are saying is good. But what we are saying is Jeff Johns. It was only successful because Jeff Johns didn't have his hands completely all over it. Right? Trust me, James Wan was fighting down Jeff Johns. Just like how he's fighting down James Gunn right now. He was fighting down Jeff Johns.
But the thing is, Aquaman got the worst.
And he won some. So he lost the battle with Black Manta being in there. And James Wan won that.
Aquaman main villain. Black Manta is a great villain. He's going to be in Aquaman and the Last Kingdom right now.
Nobody's saying no. But what we're saying is he lost that battle with Jeff Johns. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to defend anything, and I'm just saying
that
Jeff Johns had his way.
Sucks.
That's what I'm trying to do. Like, exactly. Jeff Johns had his way with certain things. And because he was so powerful at the time in DC, and he's still very powerful in DC, because as you can see, they can't fire him. He's still doing movies, right?
Because
he's still influencing all the films. He don't have his name in the credits.
Jeff Johns did a lot for DC. Jeff Johns did a lot for DC. Anyway, you put it. He did a lot for the storyline knows about. He's a fan like you and I. Jeff Johns is a DC fan like you and I.
Listen. Jeff Johns is not good at doing movies. Jeff Johns, you know what Jeff Johns is good at doing?
Comic book stories. That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's good at that
part. Yeah, but
he can't.
He's around.
But he's not staying in his lane.
Right.
He controls everything. He's not staying in his lane. You a good comic book writer. You ain't good at nothing else. You're a good comic book writer. Source material, referencing. Yeah, sure. Yeah. You ain't supposed to be directing movies. You ain't supposed to be handing nobody no notes. You ain't supposed to be telling Ray Fisher what Cyborg's supposed to be like. How he should act. How he should say booyah. Now, he ain't supposed to be doing none of that. All he there for...
Cyborg says booyah in the comics. Cyborg says booyah.
But bro, he's a comic book writer. It's like Frank Miller being brought on BVS to give advice and counsel. He not there to direct BVS and tell the director what to do and hand him notes. That's all Jeff Johns is supposed to be. He's just a comic book writer.
Yeah, but
he's just a comic book writer.
That's what James Wan is doing right now.
He's power hungry. He's on a power trip. And that's why all these movies are flopping, because this dude don't know his place. He don't know his place. And then he has powerful executives and powerful people in powerful places to back him up. And they're doing nonsense. And DC is going through, is being run into the ground.
Yes,
you know,
James Wan is doing it right now.
How
James Gunn
many
is doing
people
it right
buying
now.
Batman comics? How many people buying Batman toys? How many people buying DC toys? Nobody care about DC like that. Superman has been just dragged into the mud, and now Marvel is all that people know about because of because of this dude. He don't know his place.
James Gunn is
Right?
doing it right
He
now.
is not
James
supposed.
Gunn.
If you co-writing if you co-writing a movie with somebody, you're not supposed to be trying to bully that person into what they're supposed to be doing because you was a DC head or you have a lot of clout and you know this
Yeah.
person, you know that person. You're supposed to be doing that, but that's what he's doing. That's why BOP is a flop. It's a rated freaking R movie, man. But
Like I them.
but Jeff Johns say no, you mustn't kill people here, and you must be man. And that
But
is why
I don't. Yeah.
Birds of Prey could have been a real wicked movie like Kill Bill. It could have been like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. It could have been
Yeah, it's
crazy,
supposed to be
blood
the
everywhere,
right
and all
way.
kind of shit.
Let me tell you something. If
It
Birds
could
of
have
Prey was
been
made the right
graphically
way,
violent
like in the
and
comic, it would have done better. If it was
Huh?
made the right way, if Birds was made the right way, it would have done a lot better. It would have done
The
a lot better if
problem
it was
is,
made a lot better.
but the problem with that is this, right? The executives don't have no confidence in the creatives that doing the movie. The creative that
Yeah.
wanted to do Birds of Prey, she wanted to do it, man, in such an edgy, interesting way, right?
And it was Margot
But-
Robbie's. They gave Margot Robbie creative control to Margot Robbie. She's the one who helped ruin it to us.
Right.
Margot
So
Robbie.
all
Yeah,
of
left-
that, but really and truly, when they say they
No,
give
left
Margot
something.
Robbie, when they say they give Margot Robbie creative control over what? Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
mean. Margot
Yeah.
Robbie, if you know anything about Margot Robbie, she crazy. Margot Robbie crazy. She would go to the nth degree with things, right? You've seen it. She done it, controversial things and all that. But
Yeah.
clearly, they saying it's like saying, "Oh, they gave Ezra Miller creative control to do the Flash." Get the fuck out of here with that.
No,
So, excuse me.
no.
They
That's
never
alright.
did. As exactly,
No.
Margot Robbie is just an actor. They never give her creative. She had producer credit, but
Yeah.
obviously she has to do whatever the notes
director
of
says.
the higher up say. Not even the directors. What did notes say? So they gave
Yeah.
her some notes. Margot Robbie probably was trying to. Man, she wanted blood everywhere. Margot Robbie, you know, Margot Robbie kind of crazy. Margot Robbie would go to the nth degree with Harley Quinn, but they dial her back. And they
Yeah.
dial back that movie was going to be crazy. I didn't care if it was feminist or not. If it had blood, guts, and gore to the nth, everybody watching that. Everybody was going to watch that, right? Because it's rated R, and obviously Margot Robbie wanted it rated R so she could just go nuts with the character, right? They didn't allow her. They clearly didn't allow her, and we know that. We know that these higher ups tampering with these movies.
These
They're
clowns.
tampering with the movies. That's the problem. Because you can't tell me that woman that was directing Birds of Prey is a bad director. She's not a bad director.
No.
I don't buy that for a second. You know,
I think she and Grace Randolph got into a heated argument because Grace Randolph was saying this and was saying that. They got into a heated argument a few years ago over Birds of Prey.
exactly, because she, remember, it's her creative work, so she's going to defend it, even
Yeah.
if it's compromised. But clearly, since David Ayer, they were being compromising these directors. David Ayer is a hell of a director again. And then the shit movie that came out is not
Yes.
his standard. We know what a David Ayer movie looks like. If you go and you watch Patty Jenkins, the quality of movies Patty Jenkins put up on TV as well as on in Hollywood. Patty Jenkins is Wonder Woman 84 is an insult to Patty Jenkins. That is a shit movie compared to what she is usually do. So you have to ask yourself, this director,
creative control because
Exactly.
they don't use Zack Snyder's people. They don't use Zack Snyder's
no,
people.
wait, hold up.
But
That's another thing that, you know, Patty Jenkins is saying nothing about that. But let me be real. That's Jeff Johns again. You don't need Zack Snyder people for that. And he knew if he could separate Patty from Zack Snyder's people, she wouldn't get that. She wanted to go back to Richard Donner, right?
Yeah.
But what is Jeff
Big
Johns be?
mistake.
What that snake would do? That snake would try and talk her into saying, well, we could save money this way and blah, 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 blah. And he talk her into the situation. And then after that, he goes say, that wasn't my idea. That was Patty's idea. He throw her under the bus. That's how she get fired. Basically, she get fired. You know what I mean?
Because they cancel
James Gunn finished the job.
Yeah.
James Gunn finished the job that they wanted. They wanted to get rid of her. They get rid of
Yeah.
her. You understand? So that's what's
Yeah.
going on in Hollywood real nasty, you know, bro.
Yeah.
So with Patty Jenkins, you can't tell me Patty Jenkins would put out a movie like that. I know that's not the movie she put out. I know that's not the movie she wanted.
But right now, can I
But
say
she wouldn't
something?
say that. She wouldn't rock the boat and things. She wouldn't cause
Right
noise
now,
because really
these fan base thinks that James Gunn is going to save DC. These so-called fan people. He's not going to save DC. What James Gunn plan is not going to work. I'm sorry, it's going to fail. And right now, the strike going on now, he may not get off the ground because the strike is going on right now. It may not be resolved by year end.
Well, truth be told, I hope the strike goes as long as these
Yes.
executives. David Zaslav making $430-something million every year. Come on, bro.
And they want to use AI. They want to
What
AI.
did he
that
do
I'm
so
not
far?
paying him
What
anything.
has he done? Let me ask you
Yeah.
this, honestly. Besides selling off properties like mad, except for Zack Snyder's Justice League and the Snyderverse,
Yeah.
what has this guy done for Warner Brothers? Warner
Nothing.
Brothers stock has gone to an all-time low.
Yeah.
All their movies are flopping, all except
They're
for
losing
one or
hundreds of
two.
millions of dollars. They lose that. They lost
Hundreds-
around 600
Hundreds
million
of
already.
millions. Bro, it lost billions of dollars so far.
Yes.
In fact, the last merger cost them $16 billion.
Yes.
Okay, so they're losing money
They're losing
non-stop.
money. And that is why James Gunn should leave these movies alone. They should let these movies make money. They will be
Well-
okay right now. But
Well-
it's James Gunn's fault. James
Well,
Gunn.
hold on.
Not James
Well,
Wan,
today-
James Gunn.
Yes, no problem. Today, Mr. Chuck Dixon, you know who
Yeah.
Mr. Chuck Dixon is?
Yeah.
He's a comic book writer.
Yeah.
He reiterated something he said to the media. He said, James Gunn does not understand who his audience is.
Yes.
He's so right.
Yes.
You know, he doesn't understand who his audience is. Let me explain the audience that goes to DC. Now, there are audience members who love comics and love superheroes like yourself who will go and watch DC and Marvel. But those people are not the majority of people who pay to go see DC movies,
Mhm.
right? The majority of people that go to see DC movies go to see DC movies because they don't like Marvel movies, particularly the MCU movies. They don't like them because they feel they're too superficial, right? They want something where it's not a kid, you know. Okay, so Marvel caters for families and therefore for children, right?
Mhm.
And DC's trying to do that too, and it's not working because
Not working.
the people who go to see DC are not interested in seeing movies that children would go see too. They're not interested in family movies. They're interested in hardcore
Good movie.
adult themed movies. So like Batman. You see what Batman is?
Yeah.
See, they came up for
Yeah.
Batman. They didn't come up with nothing else, but they came up for Batman. They came up for Joker, right? They came out with
Yeah.
Joker in 2019. Everybody came up for Joker because that's the kind of movies that attract DC, the DC going audience. They're not necessarily fans, but that's what. So I don't understand why these executives don't get this through their system, that this is just not going to work for DC. It's a different audience. It's a different
to work.
demographic. They have a different approach, attitude. Even you can appreciate both Marvel and DC, but you understand the difference between Marvel and DC movies.
Yes.
Right. So you understand that you don't want to have Marvel and then Marvel version 2. You want Marvel and you want DC.
Right.
You want something that's different to Marvel. You don't want something that's the same.
That is why you see the Henry Cavill should not be replaced. They should keep Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck, and Gal Gadot. They should not replace them as yet. They're making a big mistake.
I totally agree with you, but then again, these people who are running this thing feel that they, can force people to go watch whatever they provide. I don't know why they think that way. I think they have a power. I think they're power hungry or something. Something's gone to their head. But they really believe they can force the audience for some reason. I don't know what they think. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, but they think they can force the audience to accept their brand of DC, which leads me to the next topic, which is executive choice versus audience demand. You see it there scrolling across the screen?
Yes.
Exec choice versus audience demand. And quite frankly, we seek very clearly that the executive arm of DC doesn't have a clue, or maybe they do, but they are tone deaf to the audience's demand for certain movies. And let's talk about some of the movies that we as an audience would love to see in DC. One of the movies that came up in 2022 when the merger was finalized and the temporary heads of DC was Abdi and DeLuca, was Constantine 2, or the sequel to Constantine.
Constantine, yeah.
And when they put that news out, people went nuts, right? Everybody was like happy. It was like we were in a heyday. We were like, what? They're going to put out Constantine 2? And we lost our minds, right? And Keanu Reeves, was very happy. And then James Gunn came in and that was killed off.
Yeah.
The latest news is that the producer for Constantine 2 doesn't know what's going on with it.
Yeah.
And Keanu Reeves doesn't know what's going on either.
Yeah.
It's all up in the air, which we don't expect this particular regime. And let me just repeat who these executives are: James Gunn, Peter Safran, David Zaslav. And then we have in the background Jeff Johns. We have Kevin Suchiara. We have Toby Emmerich. We have Ann Sarnoff. I missed out anybody? Casey Bloys. Walter Amada. All of these executives in the background are right now not interested.
Yeah.
In Constantine 2. They are interested in the following: J.J. Abrams' Black Superman. For some reason.
Well, I don't want that. I don't want no Black Superman. Sorry.
They also want
Walter Amada.
They also want James Gunn to do a Superman movie.
Yeah.
And
nothing.
The slate that James Gunn put forward, where there's all these individual movies that are not really connected to each other, but somehow, some way they will be connected. But James Gunn will change the connections as time goes, just like how he changed the connection with Flash. Flash was supposed to reset the DCU, but all of a sudden, no, it doesn't reset the DCU, right?
Yeah.
And Blue Beetle was supposed to be the first DCU movie, but if it flops, no, it's not the first DCU.
Yeah. And he's ruining Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom right now. Let me tell you something. Can you say something? James Gunn and these execs, they are showing their middle fingers to us true fans like base like me. They are showing their middle fingers to the fan base like me. That's what they are doing right now. But idiots don't see it that way. Some of these idiots who like bandwagonists and sheep, they don't see it that way. He's showing his middle finger to us true fans. And that's why I'm not interested. Sorry, I'm not interested in James Gunn.
So what has happened? So what has happened, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because again, on this topic, exec's choice versus audience demand. So what they're doing on social media is these executives are actually making burner accounts. It's not just James Gunn.
Yeah.
The executives. And what y'all have forgotten is that Toby Emmerich is still around. Walter Amada is still around. All these executives now are making burner accounts, and they're going online and they are trolling fans. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So the people who you are arguing with could very well just look at their profile picture. It's usually a clown with some sort of troll thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's because it's executives that are arguing with you. It's not just you. It's not a fan. It's an executive. You're arguing with executives, and they're trying to establish their position. And so what is happening is, and of course, James Gunn has a lot of gunts, we call them.
Yeah.
They are followers of James Gunn. And they're really They're really Marvel fans. They're not DC.
Yes.
They're not DC fans trying to push a cause for James Gunn. But the problem with these people is they don't have enough numbers to make any DC movie out there successful. Right?
Mhm.
So they're just a few guys, people on there, and executives and some of Gunn's fans who are making all this trouble. But they're not going to be able to do anything really. They're nowhere near the amount of people that come and pay to see DC movies that they like. So
And
it's interesting that you said that, because the executives actually took pro action, and what they are doing is they're going out on social media, creating these burner accounts, multiple burner accounts. Some of them are also putting out bots, because you see these executives make tons and tons of money for doing absolutely nothing, which is why it brings us to the strike. I wish I had put that as a topic, where the actors are striking because these executives are making exorbitant amounts of money and they're not producing anything for it that's successful.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the actors are slaving, they're struggling, they have to have care and all kinds of things to feed their families. And when their movies are successful, guess who gets the bulk of the money? The executives.
Yeah. And they're using AI. They don't use AI.
Yes, and now the executives want to get their image and likeness and use AI technology to reproduce these actors, and then they don't have to ever use the actors again. And they want to give the actors small money for that. And that's just ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, man. Come on. And they have every right to strike. They're striking for a good cause.
So what these executives want to do is this. They want to make their own storylines and narratives and brainwash people using the likeness and image of actors, and they will use AI to tell their stories. This is what they want to do. So these executives are not thinking about the audience. They don't care about the audience. They care about, we will give you our propaganda and you will accept it and you will get brainwashed by it and then you will follow us. This is what they want to do.
And it's really sad.
Yes. And it's scary, because this is if that's the kind of mindset of the people in power, then they need to go down. This is why boycott WB is a very important thing right now. The upcoming movie.
They're saying that they're going to prolong it so that they're going to let the celebrities lose their houses, and the remarks saying that when they let them lose their houses, they're not going to do anything. They're going to prolong this, and it's sad, and that get them more upset.
Yeah, it's very sad, but here's the thing. Nothing that is a product of Warner Brothers needs to be successful. Nothing. So that means the Barbie movie that's coming up. I'm sorry for Margot Robbie. I like Margot Robbie. I like the other guy.
I'm not watching it. Sorry, I'm boycotting. That is crap.
We are going to boycott it and make sure that it flops. We don't want to give Warner Brothers or DC any money. The only movie this year I'm going to feel very sorry for, and it'll hurt me very much to see.
Hello?
Yes, you're back. The only movie I'm going to feel very sorry for, and it's a movie that really has cinematography and everything, is Dune. Dune Part 2. I really want to see Dune Part 2, but I'm going to boycott everything that has to do with Warner Brothers. I hope that they crash and burn, because Warner Brothers needs a purge. They need to remove Jeff Johns. They need to remove Kevin Suchiari, Casey Bloys, Walter Amada,
James Gunn,
Peter Safran, David Zaslav. Who am I missing? I'm missing Ann Sarnoff. A whole bunch of them. Right? We need to get rid of them and any executives that think like them, which is quite a few. And the only way that's going to actually happen, to be honest with you, is if we make sure that the company goes bankrupt. And once they file for bankruptcy,
they claim that they're already bankrupt. They claim that they are bankrupt. No, that's happening.
Yes, because we need to force the hand of the investors. The majority of investors for WBD is not Discovery shareholders, but it is AT&T shareholders.
Yeah.
So we need to force the AT&T shareholders to force their hand to fire them and clear out all these unprofitable people, because the more unprofitable WBD is the more we will have a say in how things will go from there on in. And if they don't sell off the Snyderverse to Netflix or to Universal or some other place, Comcast or whatever, I hope that they get absorbed. The company gets
Yeah.
absorbed into Universal or Comcast or Amazon or
Some may better.
Netflix.
Yeah.
I hope that some one of them absorbed them up, because then they can clean slate. They can just fire everybody and then restructure
Yeah.
the company. And I feel the only people I feel sorry for is Abdi and DeLuca. I really like Pat
Yeah.
Abdi and I like Mark DeLuca. They were moving in a direction. I don't believe they were going to
Yeah.
restore the Snyderverse
No,
necessarily.
but they wanted Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck back.
Yes, so
They wanted Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck back.
yes,
That's
they
the
wanted
thing.
the whole cast
Yes.
of Justice League. And I wanted to see if they would have called back Ray Fisher. But almost everybody would have been back. It would have been Ezra Miller, Ben Affleck,
Henry
uh,
Cavill, Gal
Henry
Gadot, Jason
Cavill,
Momoa.
Gal Gadot, and Jason Momoa. That's 5 out of the 6 of them. Only
Yeah.
person who would have been missing was Ray Fisher. And I wanted to see if they would have gotten Ray back in there somehow, some way, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And the
Yeah.
other thing is, Zack Snyder was the other missing person. But the
Yeah,
way how
but-
they were moving so aggressively. Now,
Yeah.
the reason the reason they stopped Batgirl is because I can see Abdi and DeLuca realized the audience didn't really care for that kind of movie. Now, you would have probably cared for it, but to me, it's the same kind of movie as Wonder Woman 84, the Suicide Squad, the Flash
Yeah.
movie. It would have been the same kind of movie, I believe, as all of those things. Even though the guy who was playing Firefly, he won a Oscar, if I'm not mistaken,
Brandon
for-
Fraser, yeah.
for a role in a nice movie where he was fat, he was obese.
Yeah. Some whale something it named, some whale something another whale
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, at the same time,
Batgirl, yeah.
I don't think Batgirl was going to be. It would be like another CW kind of thing, and so
No, I don't think so.
No,
No. No.
James Gunn,
Listen,
James Gunn,
no.
actually.
Batgirl would have
Hold
been
on,
better
hold
than
on,
that.
hold on. Wait,
No,
I'm
Batgirl
Jay,
would
but I
have
got
been
something to
good.
say.
Michael
Batgirl-
Keaton would be good. But I see behind the scenes footage of it. It would be way better than CW. To me.
But here's my thing. From what I saw of James Gunn had talks with the directors of Batgirl and was looking at bringing it back, right? So what I'm trying to say to you is that James Gunn wasn't the guy that got rid of Batgirl. It was Abdi and DeLuca, because Zaslav was
It
saying he
was-
wanted
it was
movies of
Zaslav.
quality, and Abdi
was-
and DeLuca, to save money and to get a tax cut as well, they stopped the Batgirl movie. But to be honest with you, I wasn't interested in that movie. I look
Okay.
at that and I said, nah.
I think it would,
Now,
be,
again,
it would have been good.
I'm one of those people who I'm not interested in any of these movies right now. Right? Aquaman 2, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested. I
Because-
wasn't
because of
interested in the
James Gunn.
Flash. I wasn't interested in the Flash, and from what I see of the Flash, bro, that thing is terrible. It's awful.
I think the Flash is good. I think the Flash, despite what happened, I enjoy Flash. But James Gunn ruined Flash.
but let me be real with you. The CGI in that movie is terrible.
The CGI is
terrible.
good. I love the
You
CGI.
find it good, dude? I was
Because
watching that.
it's in the Speed Force.
Cara-
That's how the Speed Force
was
must
that
look.
Cara Zor-El? That was Cara Zor-El when she break out of
Yes.
prison. Well, bruh,
Yes.
that
From
fight scene
earth,
was
from
so
that earth.
awful. It reminded me of what I saw in Black Adam, where she punched a guy and or Black Adam throw a guy up in the air and he's going, oh, and I'm like, dude,
I love
First
it.
of
I
all,
love Black Adam.
if
Black
she
Adam is good.
punch a guy, her hand's gonna go straight through him. Okay, if she punch a guy, it's gonna go straight through. So this is unrealistic from the start. She knock a guy down with a kind of like a hammer kick, right?
Oh,
with the back
yeah.
of
But
her
she just got her powers. That's
Dude's
why.
head would have splat into the ground, bro. Dude's head would have splat into. It's unrealistic. It was like
It
watching
looks good to me. It looks good to me. I
kind of
don't
like
bad
watching
that. I love
Mortal Kombat, a 90s Mortal Kombat movie, 90s Mortal Kombat, a game without the blood.
Yeah.
It was just weird. Like,
Okay.
and to me, I was getting this, what do you call it? The Uncanny Valley kind of feel,
Okay.
where like the images and the faces, even General Zod's head was too big for his uniform, and I was like, what's going on here? What Fiora looked weird, and I was just like,
Well, I
what's
love
going
it.
on here?
I think it's good. I think it's good.
And
It's,
then
I
and
think
then
it's
it
well
looked like they
made.
was floating in space, like they're standing on the ground, but it didn't look like they're standing on the ground and all kind of thing. I was like, dude,
That's
who
what
do
the
this
Speed
thing?
Force is. When you run in the Speed Force, that's what
No,
it's
no, no,
supposed
it
to
was
look.
no Speed Force. It was Zod
Oh,
and
Fiora.
Fiora, and like they were standing in front, like Zod just slap a guy and knock him down,
Oh,
and then you watching them like they hovering in space, kind of like it looked like that. It didn't look like they're standing on ground, and I'm like,
but I love
who
it.
do
I love
this
the flag.
see? They're supposed to do shading. They're supposed to make it look like it's realistic and grounded into the ground. What's going on? Like I don't know what happened. Like there was a shoddy work done
Yeah.
on that movie,
But,
boy.
but to tell you the
Terrible.
truth, if James Gunn keep the scenes in the Flash, it would have made more money. James Gunn should not cut out. You
Of
see,
course.
one scene, you see the final scene when Ezra Miller was talking to James Momoa in the bar scene, Henry Cavill was standing beside Sasha Calle right there. So Sasha Calle did not die. He was standing right beside Henry. And then when Barry went into the apartment, Ben Affleck called him and said, "You have to find us on the laptop. Barry, you have to find us." They should
Right.
keep those scenes in there. It would have done better.
That
But
was
no.
supposed to kind of lead to give us a chance for the Snyderverse to happen.
Yeah, but he's saying that he break promise that we can't. He cut out. He let his ego get to his head. He said he going to reboot. Why not keep
Yeah.
the scenes in the movie? So he make a big mistake. He ruined
Right.
everything.
Not only that, but it was supposed to be the league was supposed to come together in the end. End of the movie, the
Yes.
league was supposed to be there.
It's when he came out of the courthouse.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton was there. Sasha Calle was there. Henry Cavill was there, and Gal Gadot was there outside the courthouse talking to Ezra Miller, talking to Barry Allen, say
Yeah.
congratulations.
Instead of the
Yeah.
dead George Clooney come.
Yeah, George Clooney, because of James Gunn. He shouldn't have done that. He made a big mistake. Sorry, he made a big mistake. He shouldn't have done that.
James Gunn decided to troll everybody. Say, all right, the
Yeah.
worst Batman movie, we're gonna put Ezra in that.
That's why they don't make money. James Gunn turned. They're not smart. If I was like them, if I was like James Gunn, I would suggest that these movies make money. Since we're in a bankrupt, do something make these movies make money. But they're not doing it. They don't do it. You know what I mean?
Truth be told,
Yeah.
James Gunn in the back of his mind knows he's not going to be making a Superman movie because the Warner Brothers
Yeah.
wouldn't have the money to make it.
They don't have the money
So what
right
he's
now
doing-
because the strike.
He trolling
don't
everybody
have-
and trying to get as much pay as possible for
Yeah.
he and his friends. That's what's good.
It's not going to get off the ground. Sorry. They're losing
Nah.
right now. They lose over 600 million or more right now from the DC movies release. Over 600
That's
million they lose right now.
That's
And they're
right.
going to lose more. They're going to
Yeah.
lose it Aquaman. They're going to lose it Blue Beetle. That's what I'm saying. But you have idiots out there saying that, calling me Snyder cultist, calling me this, calling. One of them turned against me, say because I said I'm not supporting James Gunn. He turned against me and said that I'm his enemy now. I said, go on ahead. You don't like me, go away, go away. These idiots.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It ain't gonna take but a couple months. I think by autumn this year,
Yeah.
everything's gonna be over. But here's my thing. What they gonna say when we was right? What they
Yeah.
gonna say then? Because we're gonna be right. And then
Yes.
what they gonna do? You understand what I'm
Right,
saying?
that's the thing. They
You
have to
can
set that to do
jump
a
high,
decent
jump
drive.
low, jump
Yeah.
high, jump low.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen.
Yes. You understand?
So
And the fan base are not going to forgive James because they replaced Henry Cavill. This David Cornswet, I think it's mediocre casting because I hear, I don't know if it's true. I hear he doesn't believe in God. He's an atheist. He doesn't believe in God. And Superman himself believes in God. Use an actor who believes in God. Henry Cavill believes in God. You know what I mean?
I mean, that don't really matter too much because it's an actor, so you could act
Yeah.
however you want. But my thing with, oh wow,
What
okay,
happened? What's up?
my battery power going down. Yeah,
Oh, Lord.
my thing is
Sorry,
this.
Paul,
Though.
I talk too much. Sorry for talking too much.
No, not at all. You're doing great. Don't even worry about that. It's not. I can always plug in my battery. Actually, I just
Everything
like
right now,
I
yes.
just like the white background behind me, so that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, All of that being said, I want to know where they're getting their money from if they keep on flopping like that. Every
Yes.
single movie keeps on flopping. Like I said, the Dune movie is a movie I really wanted to see, but you know what? I ain't care. I ain't not going to the cinema.
Don't
I'm
give a
boycotting
damn. Yeah.
Huh?
It's because the strike shuts down everything. The strike right now, it stops everything. It pauses everything right now. No movie not making, nothing is not making right now.
And if they can't make money, they're gonna be in trouble.
They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be Disney's in trouble. Indiana Jones is in trouble. Star Wars is in trouble right now. And
Yeah,
I
man.
heard that Marvel, they're in trouble right now as well. The Marvel is going to flop. The Marvel coming up, the MCU is in trouble right now. So Kevin
That's good.
Feige is getting desperate.
That's good.
Yeah.
So now, what can we as fans do? Well, of course, we're going to boycott, right?
I'm
Clearly going to
boycotting.
boycott. And we're boycotting for two reasons. The first one is to support in solidarity of the actors and creatives who constantly
Yeah.
are getting taken advantage of in the industry. And the
Yeah.
second reason is because WB is doing a lot of nonsense and we just don't support that. So we're going to
Right.
boycott them, right? Whether it's DC or whatever, they're just boycotting everything.
Yes, I'm
However,
boycotting. I'm boycotting James Gunn DC. Sorry, James, I'm done with DC films. You have DC animated part like Justice League War World. That is good. Animated, not James Gunn, you know, the animated part. Justice League War World is good. Go
of
watch it.
course,
You have a massive crisis coming up. They have a plan. Then there's a cliffhanger, a big crisis coming up. That's the
good
animated
stuff.
part. That is good. I've watched that
The
part.
animated part is still doing very
Yeah.
well. And you know
Yeah.
what's amazing? The animated part is so much more graphic
Yes.
than the movie,
I'm
the
not,
live
I'm not
action movies
interested in
coming
James
out.
Gunn Future Commandos. I'm not interested in nothing James Gunn. Sorry. James
Sure.
Gunn is old. Sorry, I'm not interested. James Gunn
Right.
turns me off.
Now, there's one more thing we can do. Um, what I forgot to mention in the history is that in 2021, Zack Snyder was able to release, and I guess this is also the profile picture, he was able to release his version
Version
of
of
Justice League.
Justice League, yeah.
However, even though he did release his version of Justice League, I know this sounds almost ludicrous, but the executives at Warner Brothers, who were Toby Emmerich, Walter Amada, and Sarnoff, and so on, they all unitedly said that it is a cul-de-sac. That is to say, there are no movies going to be made after it, in spite of the fact that 1.5 million tweets on Twitter, an all-time record, came for it asking for the Snyderverse to be restored, right?
Yeah.
Now, do understand that after that, WB stock started to tumble and it has never recovered since then, right?
Never recovered, yeah.
it went
not
from
going to
now, WBD stock was usually it hovered around $30 a share. All right,
Mhm.
from all the way from 2000 and I think
What?
2000 and 2005 all the way
Oh
up
my.
till well not 2000 yes 2005 all the way up until 2021.
Oh,
WB shares generally stayed at $30 a share. Now it
Oh.
went, I think in 2017, it dipped below $20 a share, right?
Oh.
Because Justice League came out and it went way down.
Mm.
But it recovered because of Aquaman, so it came back up to $30 a share. Now the only time Warner Brothers ever went way, way up in the sky was it began in the year 2020 when Zack
Oh.
Snyder announced that Zack Snyder's Justice League would be on HBO Max.
Oh.
The shares were at an all-time low because Birds of Prey came out, but then it started to recover. And by the time Wonder Woman 84 came around, Zack Snyder dropped, I believe, the first teaser trailer, and the stock just started to rise real high.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then I think it was January of 2001.
2021, March 2021, just Zack Snyder Justice League came out.
No. January of 2021, the first official trailer came out.
Yeah.
of Justice League. And that caused the stock to spike up in the air.
Yeah.
By February of 2021, the stock was at $50 a share. And by the
Oh,
time Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, it was $76 a share.
yeah.
All-time high for Warner Brothers.
Yeah. No, they
And
lose
it
all
was
of that right now.
going higher than that. And then Ann Sarnoff made the announcement that there would be no sequels to Zack Snyder's Justice League. There will be no air cut released. And they have no plans of making Zack Snyder's Justice League canon. And from thenceforth, ladies and gentlemen, Warner Brothers stock plunged to below $20 a share. And to this day, it went to an all-time low with Black Adam. It went to, I think, $9 a share. It is now hovering somewhere between $12 and $13 a share. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Warner Brothers is on their way to bankruptcy.
Yes. And they caused it on themselves.
And they caused it on themselves. I just thought I would mention that. Also, very important, Abdi and DeLuca are the same people I'm going to mention again in a positive light once again. Abdi and DeLuca allowed Zack Snyder this year to have SnyderCon. And in the SnyderCon, they financed everything. And in the SnyderCon, Zack Snyder was for the first time able to release the colored version of Zack Snyder's Justice League in theaters. It was this year. So Abdi and DeLuca have been, Zack Snyder actually thanked them and praised them, and he said they are the most level-headed minded people in Warner Brothers. And why I'm saying that now is because if you look below, scrolling across the screen, you will see the hashtag Restore the Snyder Cut in cinemas and IMAX. I think that we as fans should appeal to Miss Pat Abdi and Mr. Mike DeLuca to save their company by please releasing the Snyder Cut in cinemas and IMAX this October. Because nothing else is going to make a profit in the cinemas when it comes to Warner Brothers. Nothing. Dune, none of them. But if they release the Snyder Cut in cinemas this October, notice I said this October. This is very specific about the month and everything. Me and actually Damian, Anton, Vincent, we discussed this and we realized October is the month for that because there's two reasons. We know that Blue Beetle is going to flop. It's going to flop hard. Okay? Because they're so stupid. They went in the trailer and said Black Batman. Of all the names, the DC characters to name, your highest selling DC character, which actually the movie that came out, The Batman, did not flop. You're going to look at that character and say he's a fascist.
No. That turns off fans. Aquaman and Lost Kingdom is also going to flop because of James Gunn. Sorry.
Yes.
Not James Gunn.
But what I'm saying is that you're committing the worst suicide by saying anything negative about Batman, because the one character where Marvel and DC fans actually like equally is Batman. You just don't do that, right? So I guess they just wanted to commit suicide, and therefore Blue Beetle will flop. Oh, absolutely flop. I know it's depressing for DC fans, but it's going to flop. And when it does, its saving grace could come after it and inspire DC fans and fans all around the world, whether they're DC fans or not, to go to the cinemas to see this remarkable movie that never came out, and it is not canon to DC for some reason or the other. Zack Snyder's Justice League in theaters and IMAX. Abdi and DeLuca can make it happen because they've already made it happen. They allowed Zack Snyder to show it in theaters in California. So therefore, it won't cost them any really significant extra money to put it back into theaters. And they really don't need to do a whole lot of advertising. All they just need to say is, Zack Snyder's The Justice League will be showing in theaters in October,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
Blah,
And
blah,
trust
blah,
me,
blah.
that's all it will take. You know, you just
But
said they can.
sadly, it may not happen. Sadly, we're just talking, but
No.
with
Why I
what's
said it
happening
would
right now,
happen is there's several different reasons. So here's the case. It's
yeah,
very simple.
the
They
strike
don't.
and this big
They
strike going
don't.
on
No.
and everything.
No. I'll show you this. They don't have to pay any actors. They don't have to pay anybody to put it out.
Yeah, but
So
they
it's
cannot promote the film right now.
so
They
it's
cannot
strike.
promote anything right now. The strike put everything to a standstill right now. The strike now, they can't promote nothing right now. What I hear.
Yeah,
Not
you can
right in the
promote,
movie or anything.
but you can't hire anybody and you can't do any production with. But
Yeah,
clearly, Blue Beetle is going to be showing in August. They're still
yeah,
on track with that. So
yeah.
they're promoting Blue Beetle still. So because everybody get their paychecks for that movie, so the studio could go ahead and promote that, and people could go to cinema and see that.
No, they can't promote it right now. They cannot. The actors do the strike. They themselves cannot promote it. They
Not
say,
true because they're promoting Barbie right now,
okay,
and
okay, you
Barbie's
say
in
that.
cinemas.
Okay,
They're
okay
promoting
then.
open. They're promoting Oppenheimer right now, and Oppenheimer is in cinemas.
Okay, okay. All right then.
See, it's if you have something in production, they have to stop production.
Yeah, because what Deadpool 3 was in production, it has to stop because of the strike. Many TV series coming this fall
Yeah,
stop because of the strike.
yeah.
And this strike is not going to resolve. I don't think it's going to resolve by this year. And everything is going to set back.
Well, we'll see.
Superman Legacy may not get off the ground because they don't have no money right now to do Superman Legacy. So I'm
Plus,
sorry
they
for
have a
James Gunn.
strike, so the actors and they will not be able to go.
Right. But again, I'm not watching any of James Gunn DC. I'm sorry, I'm done with DC live action. James Gunn kills DC live action.
No doubt.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, that is a very high possibility of happening.
Yeah.
And I think that when Zack Snyder Justice League was released, it was released in COVID.
Yeah.
So I could see Zack Snyder Justice League again being released while there's a impasse and a strike. I could see that happening in theaters and people going and seeing that. Because that's the one movie, it's already completed, it's already done.
Yes.
And
it is still my number one movie. It's still my greatest movie ever. I don't care what anybody want to say. They call me Snyder cultist. It's my greatest movie. I don't give a damn. Not because I'm not a Snyder cultist, but I know good movies. My number one movie.
I hear that. So
my number two.
That's something that
movie. Sorry, my number 2 movie is Spider-Man No Way Home. I'll let you know. That's my number 2 movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
It's good.
But anyway, besides that though, because I'm not a Marvel fan like that. But that's nice, man.
Hey, talk, man. Keep talking. Yeah. Keep talking, man. Keep talking.
I would say that you're different to me in that respect. You appreciate comic book movies, period. Me, I like stuff that I think is relevant that I could use in my life. So I like relevant movies, pertinent movies, and I actually break down movies because of that. But to say I just go, I can't do that. But and I'm more of a sci-fi kind of guy. So the movies that Zach was doing make more sense to me because it's like, I could see that, the sea creatures and stuff. Even Avatar was more of a sci-fi movie than it was a fantasy movie.
Yeah.
So that's just my thing, all right? That's my taste in movies. But with respect to releasing the Snyder Cut in cinemas and IMAX, why we talked about that is because Rebel Moon would be coming out, and they finished filming that as well. Rebel Moon will be coming out in December, so October is a good time in between that and December. Of course, Rebel Moon may not come out because of the strike, and because it might be it depends. It might go into theaters, which means if it's going into theaters, then the strike wouldn't be relevant to it. But if it's going on Netflix, definitely the strike would be relevant to it because remember Netflix has employees and all these kinds of things, and those people have to be paid. Whereas in the cinemas are independent to these production companies, the people in
Yeah.
the cinemas get paid differently and so on. So once it's
Yeah.
relevant to the production companies and any kind of production, those things will be halted. But finished
Yeah.
products, which are already done, the company could put into cinemas, and
Yeah.
therefore people could go and see that. But to say like um if it's on coming on Netflix, then you probably wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
So Rebel Moon might have to go into cinemas, which would be kind of cool. I prefer to see Rebel Moon in the cinema than on Netflix, to be honest with you. The biggest screen possible. And if
Yeah.
but it depends on if um it depends on if the strike is still there, whether we will see it in the cinema or if we will
I
see it on
doubt with
Netflix,
what's
which
going
is
on right
interesting.
now. I doubt it's going to end like this year. I doubt by December it may not end. It may lead up to way into next year with what's happening right now. Because the
All
actors are
good.
not backing down. They are not backing down. They are fighting
I
for a good
am
cause.
totally in support of the people who are striking.
Yes.
Um, so I'm not going to. Well, I don't already don't have a Netflix subscription. I don't have any subscription to any of those
Yeah.
companies, and we already know I'm boycotting everything that has to do with WBD. But I will be going into the cinema and seeing
Rebel
Christopher
Moon.
Nolan's movie.
Oppenheimer. Okay. Okay. Good for you.
Definitely going to go see
Good
Oppenheimer.
luck.
Definitely. Day
And
one.
right now, can I say something? The fan
Yeah.
base of today are divided right now. Right now, there's a big war between fan bases right now. Big war between YouTubers right now. And it's
Right.
sad.
Sad.
Yeah.
But
People
I
are
am
judging me
definitely
by
going to
who I talk to.
I am definitely going to see Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer because I know Zack Snyder and I know Christopher Nolan have always been fighting for the actors' rights and
Yeah.
for all the people that work with them. And I know Christopher Nolan, is a great director. And not only that, the people who work for Christopher Nolan get paid properly. He treats them
Yeah.
well.
He's
Zack
there.
Snyder
He
is the
was there
same
with
thing.
them. Nolan was there with them in the strike. He was there. His brother and his sister were there.
That's
You
right.
understand?
He's supposed to
Yeah.
strike as well. That's right. And
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's supposed to strike as well as some of the Snyder Cut actors and so on. I
Yeah.
saw the guy who plays the Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which hasn't been shown on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
supposed to strike, and so many more
So many of
people.
them.
So
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in solidarity with them on this.
Yeah. Can I say something right now with this with the fan base? People are
Yes.
judging me by who I talk to. They don't like who I can't tell you who to talk to. You can't tell me who to talk to. You know what I mean? We are
Yes.
adults. Many of them are like
I
9-year-olds and 10-year-olds right now. You know what I mean? I have no worries. You know what I mean? I
my
talk to who I want to talk to.
and I talking to you. So,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem associating with you because I think that you are somebody who you are a real comic book fan in the sense that you love comic book movies. And there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
You
You know
understand?
what I mean? Not a thing. I tell you my perspective on things because I came from a kind of like, I used to read comic books and all of that, but then I
Yeah.
stopped because I was like, man, life got caught up with me, and I just wanted to focus on my studies and life
Yeah,
and that
but
kind
that
of thing.
thing's doing. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right. And then I thought I had outgrown those things until Zack Snyder came with something that was relevant to me, and that's what got my attention. Like I said before, I'm not really I wasn't really like most people will say, but I don't know about comic books, boy. I know that's
Yeah.
for kids or whatever. There's some people will say that, and then it got me really invested in comic books, and I started reading comic books again because of Man of Steel. How Zack
Yeah.
Snyder
Great
approached the
storyline.
movie got me back interested in comic books. But to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I wasn't really that. No, you are a real comic book guy. You're like, oh yeah. I can tell you about issue number 45, and you can just rattle it off, right? You know what I mean? So I can understand you like wanting to see just different directors' iteration of this comic book come to life and that kind of thing. So I get where you're coming from. But for me, I am more of a realist, and I'm more of a. What I mean by that is, fantasy movies not really my thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really
Okay.
into the fantasy movie. I'm more of a grounded sort of thing. So something that could look like, hey, this could really be possible, or this could really be real. The way how Zack Snyder kind of did the stuff, it was like that. Christopher Nolan, same thing.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan did the Batman movie, and it's like, So wait, a guy like that could actually exist in this world? You know, that kind of feeling, it kind of grounded. That's what I mean by grounded. It's kind of like it
Yeah.
makes you believe,
But
that could
many of
actually
these
happen.
fans hate Nolan. Many of these fans hate Nolan and the Dark Knight trilogy. But what you like, I can't fight you down. Many of they understand. Many fan base
Exactly.
are calling each other names. They call each other name, calling each other this.
Right.
They're calling
Right.
you. They're calling you Nolan Fag. They're calling me what? They're calling me Snyder Cole. They're calling me this and calling me that. I'm not worried myself. They don't know me, so they can't judge me. They can't judge you. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. You know, so Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is a crazy, crazy movie. That Heath Ledger killed it. I mean, he killed
Yeah.
it on that movie.
R.I.P. to him. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is sad
But
because he came right off of Brokeback Mountain.
I don't watch Brokeback Mountain. I have no interest in Brokeback Mountain. Sorry,
No, but
I'm not
that's what.
interested in it.
Well, Christopher Nolan saw him in Brokeback Mountain and said,
Yeah.
he's the guy for the Joker. And so when the fans, again, just like with Ben Affleck, when fans heard that Brokeback Mountain Man was going to be Joker, they protested, of course. Turned out he was a great Joker. You
He
know
won
what I
an
mean?
Oscar for it after his passing. He took drug overdose and killed himself. They found him dead in
Yeah,
a
he was
cotton
on another.
apartment.
He was on another project. You know, he's on another project when he
Yeah,
accidentally killed himself. Yeah,
yeah.
which is kind of sad.
But thank God he completed the Dark Knight before his passing. He completed it before his passing. So
Yeah, he was on another movie when he did that. It wasn't.
yeah,
It had nothing to do with the Dark Knight. It had to do with him getting into another role or whatever. And
yeah, yeah,
he probably made a mistake and overdosed himself and he
yeah,
died.
yeah.
Or
But
somebody killed him. You never know. It's
yeah,
Hollywood. These
yeah.
people
Thank you
crazy.
for allowing me on your live. I know I'm boring, but thank you for allowing me on it. All
You're
your
not
lives are
boring at
great.
all. Come on, man. You serious? We had a good time, man. We had a
Yeah,
great time on this live. It was good, man.
yeah,
And you know what I appreciated because I got through all the content I wanted to do. What I appreciated is the fact how you raised up these new points that I didn't think about, like with the
yeah,
strike and then
yeah,
with the what you call it why is my memory slipping so with the whole set of people. It wasn't just Jeff Johns. It was all these different people that was in the background doing all these things. You know,
yes. All of them. Yes. I blame
doing
every single one of them. I blame all of them. These clowns. I call them these clowns. A guy tell me said the double B they're not clone. They said it doesn't like because I call the execs clones. I tell him to go away, don't like me, go away. You're a clone as well. They're a bunch of clones. They ruin DC films. They
boy.
ruin DC films right
I don't
now.
know why they have to be so. You know, you can't
Yeah.
take none of them seriously. Then you know you can't take any of them seriously, and that's why we
Yeah.
call them clowns because you can't
They're a
take them
bunch of
seriously.
clones. Yeah.
Oh man, DC's in such a bad state right
They're
now.
in
It's
a
just so sad.
bad state because of James Gunn.
Just bad management, bad
Yes,
management all the way around. It
they're
just why,
losing.
and that's why I'm glad there's a strike going on as well because the creatives
Yes,
they're used and abused so much by these
yes,
people who, and some of them again, nobody seems to understand their place in these
yes,
jobs. Like as an
yes,
executive, I would expect you. Yes, you're overseeing things, but you're mostly a facilitator for the directors. The
yes,
directors are supposed to be the ones who's supposed to know the vision of what they're doing and what direction they're going. And if you just
yes,
let the director do what they're supposed to do, 9 times out of 10, you're getting a hit. You're
yeah,
getting a great hit. Don't tamper with the thing. Don't mess with the creative process. Let them do their thing.
yeah. That these exits are with all due respect, excuse me for saying it, they're all pieces of shit. Bob Igor, Zaslav, and these idiots, they are pieces of shit.
But see, this is what I was trying to explain to you. Greg Silverman is not like them. Greg Silverman believed in his
Yeah,
creatives. And
yeah,
even if he didn't totally agree with them, he let them finish, do their things to completion. This is why Man of Steel came out and you say Man of
yeah.
Steel is the best Superman movie you've ever seen. And it's a masterpiece because why?
She's a master solo Superman movie. Yeah,
The creative was allowed to do what he had set in his mind.
yeah,
That's why it came out like that. Well, when you're only passing notes to the creatives and you're trying to tell them what to do, then why you even give them to direct the movie? Direct the movie yourself.
Yeah.
You understand? And then for all these people, all these executives who want DC to be like Marvel so much, well, if you want DC to be like Marvel so much, why ain't go across by Marvel and work for them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless somebody else run DC now, man. Oh gosh.
Sad. All
It's
they have
sad.
to do right now, they should go sell to someone better. Sell to someone if that's how I see it. Because they're
Yeah,
not going, it's not going to
they're not
work.
managing.
Sorry.
Yeah, they're not managing DC properly.
No.
And
Sorry.
the only, Jim Lee, he's a nice guy and everything. So I like
Yeah.
Jim Lee. And Jim Lee worked with Zack Snyder with the SnyderCon, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But honestly speaking, DC right now, I mean, Jim Lee tried to work with everybody, but DC right now not doing well at all. So why if the executives that are there are not helping the DC brand, then leave, man. Leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
James
They're
Gunn already have 3
losing.
strikes against him. He failed.
Yes.
He failed with the Black
Superman
Adam. He
legacy.
failed with Shazam 2, and he failed with the Flash. He already had 3 strikes. Leave.
Yes.
All this guy had was one. Well, he had a couple strikes too, but the same guy, Greg Silverman, he had a strike with BVS, and they was ready to kick him out. They was ready
Yeah.
to kick out Greg Silverman for a
And
strike with
BBS
BVS.
is a
Yes.
great movie.
He
BBS is a
also failed.
wonderfully great movie.
He also failed with Green Lantern, and he failed with Superman Returns. So but he had a
Yeah.
whole string of successes in between. He had
Yeah.
successes with Nolan. He had successes with Snyder. So you can't. And
Yeah.
the thing about this, BVS was not a flop.
No, BBS made money. BBS made a decent money.
Yeah, it made
817 million.
I think it's 107 million. I know they put out what was 200 and something million. They get back
Yeah.
100. They get back profit of 107 million.
The first six
It wasn't.
DC movies made money.
It
First
wasn't.
six DC movies made money.
Yeah, it wasn't a ton of profit. They expected more, but still at the
Yeah.
same time, it made profit,
Yes.
right? That's the important point.
Yeah. If
Right
they release
now,
if they release full 3 hour version, it would probably made more money if they release a full 3 hour version. But they let their egos get to their heads and cut
it wasn't
cut-
ego.
Yeah.
It wasn't ego. They were trying to sabotage Zach, right?
Yeah.
Jeff Johns and Suchihara, I blame for that.
Yes.
I blame them too, right? So at the end of the day, Zack Snyder last minute you gonna cut 30 minutes out of the man movie 2
Yeah.
weeks before release. Come on, man. And they set up the guy. They obviously set him up to try and make him fail, but he made an agreement with them, I think, to get his director's cut out. So that is
Yeah.
why. But I feel sorry for him because really, if the longer cut had come out, yeah, it would have been a longer movie, but it would have been smoother. It would have been better. It would have explained
Yes.
everything so much better.
That is why I said Nolan should be there, but Nolan had no interest in shared universe. If he was there, they would leave Zack alone. He should stick around and let him do his thing. That's how I
Well,
see it.
that's probably what Nolan will do in the future if he has to deal with anybody else under him. For
Yeah,
sure.
but he's not interested. He said he's done with DC. He's not interested in the shared universe. Nolan, he has an ego as well. So that's just how it is. Just
No,
talking.
but he not really that's what he was trying to explain. Zach was supposed to be the guy to take over for him because he's
Yeah.
not really a DC universe kind of guy. He just
he's
made
not-
a
he's not-
Batman
he's not a
movie.
fan. Yeah, he's not
Yeah.
into that. He's not interested.
No,
Yeah,
he's not into that. He's not really into that.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
anything, man.
yeah,
But he knows how to make movies,
yeah.
and proper good movies. So that's where
Yeah.
he's at. Because look at it. He didn't do another superhero movie. After the Batman movie, he is done. And he just
Yeah.
move on to other things.
Yeah. After the Dark Knight Rises, yeah, because he's not interested in no shared unit.
Nah,
those things.
not even. Nah,
Yeah.
not really.
His name is still attached to it because he want to get a paycheck. His name is he's one of the executive producers, but he's not really involved in it. His name was attached
No.
to it because he want to get a paycheck. That's all.
Well, if it make money, he get a paycheck. If it don't make money, he's a producer.
But he would have kept them away from Zach if he was there. If he was there,
Definitely.
they would keep away from Zach. That's the thing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
But Zach still stays in contact with him, always talk with him. fact, I think he's the one that got him connections to Netflix. You know?
Okay. And Rebel Moon looks good. Rebel Moon looks good. It looks good. Rebel Moon looks
Yes,
good. So
tremendous.
he's okay. Zack
Tremendous.
Snyder is okay.
And you know, it does give me a Star Wars feel. It does give me
Yeah.
a Star Wars feel.
Is there stars? There is a stars story. This Walt Disney rejected from Zack Snyder. Star Wars storyline.
Yeah.
They rejected. Kathleen Kennedy rejected it. They said. So he can't do
Yeah.
his thing now. And Kathleen
Yeah.
Kennedy is in trouble now. Kathleen Kennedy is in big trouble because Indiana Jones is in trouble. Indiana Jones not
Right.
making any money.
That's right.
And I feel sorry for Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I feel it for Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is now what, 81. I feel it for him.
I
He's up in
feel
Captain
it for
America.
Harrison Ford. Harrison
Yeah.
Ford is the highest paying actor in Hollywood.
Yes, he's okay, no, but I mean, for Indiana Jones, you know what he stands for is gone right down because of Kathleen Kennedy. You know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, well, he was in Star Wars too, and that didn't do too
Yes.
well either.
And and they kill off Han Solo. He let them kill off Han Solo.
Yeah.
So Star Wars is in trouble. Star Wars is in trouble right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, J.J. Abrams are kind of keeping it afloat, J.J. The other guy,
Yeah.
that fella, what his name is?
What's his name? Who that?
The Last Jedi was not good at all.
No, The Last Jedi. Star Wars, The Last Jedi. The Rise of Skywalker and The Rise of Skywalker. That was the last one. The Rise of Skywalker.
That was J.J. J.J. did The Rise of Skywalker, and he did the
And he did
episode
The
6.
Force Awakens. He did The Force Awakens.
Yeah, he did The Force
But he
Awakens.
made money. He made over $2 billion. But it's a mediocre movie. Made
Yeah.
over $2 billion. Yeah. Yeah.
But people were so thirsty for Star Wars. They hadn't seen it in a long time. A new episode
Yeah.
that they bought that hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, but it's in trouble now. He's in trouble. Kathleen Kennedy is in trouble. She's in trouble.
Well, that's what happens when you try to be woke too much.
Yeah,
Trying
they
to
are
be
all
too
in
woke.
trouble. They're not just WBD alone. Many franchises are in trouble. They are losing millions of dollars. And this strike thing causing them to lose more money.
Well, yeah.
Causing them to lose
That's
more
why
money.
if they're
Yeah.
smart, which they're not, because they were full of ego and they want to say we
Yeah.
don't have no money, yet you're getting
Yeah.
paid hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
You're getting paid hundreds of million dollars, but you have no money. That's why they're striking, because they realize there's exploitation thing going on.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, I was looking on Twitter and they were talking about that what they could have rising up now in this era
Yeah.
is the rise of the indie studio. So
Oh,
guys
yeah.
like Greg Silverman and all those other people, actors should just go flow in it, start doing movies with them.
That's what Mark Ruffalo is saying. I heard that Mark Ruffalo is saying it as well.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo, yes. He's saying that. So that they can have
So
jobs
less
and can-
exploitation. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Ruffalo
Whoa.
hates Trump. Mark Ruffalo hates Trump. He hates Trump in such, a lot of them hates Trump in such a fashion.
Well, I
hate
can't
Trump.
believe it.
I hate Trump. I hope he doesn't become president next election.
Well, thing about it is that I like what Ben Affleck and Matt Damon is doing with their
Yes.
own company, and they launched up
Yeah.
with Air.
Yeah. The Air was a great movie. The movie Air is a great movie. I love
I
it.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. And it was funny too. It was funny too.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
quite
it's good.
interesting.
Based on a true story. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was based on a true story. It's not everything in it is true, but what I
Yeah.
like about that is they started off this company. Now they had to stop production as well on the movie they were doing because of the strike.
Because
But,
of strike.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do believe once a movie is finished, I think they could put it out at least in theaters. If you're gonna put it up online on a streaming service, it's a different story, because you remember you hire people to stream your movies and all of that. So that's different.
Yeah.
But I think if it's the cinemas, unless they're closing down the cinemas as well, they're closing down the cinemas.
No, they're not. No, I don't think they're going to close on cinema because movies are already made before the strike is to be released, so they need to make money. I don't think
That's the
cinemas are going to
point.
close down, but it's going to have a big dent on it. You know what I mean? People.
Of course.
It's going to affect the box office. This strike. Well, if cinema is not going to close, because if cinema close down, it's going to be dangerous on them. So I don't think they're going to close down cinemas. Cinemas
Do you
will still
think
be
that-
open.
Do you think that if you support the strike, you shouldn't go and see movies? Period.
No,
Until
no, I don't think. I think you should go and see the movie same way, enjoy yourself same way. You understand me? Nothing wrong if you go watch a movie same. That's totally different. But if you support the strike, fine. But you can still watch a movie, whatever movie you want to watch in the cinemas if you want to watch it.
well,
Or
that's
you
what I'm
watch it at
saying.
home,
That's why I tell
right?
you
Two
Zack
choices.
Snyder's Justice. That's why I'm saying Zack Snyder's Justice League showing in cinemas is different to Zack Snyder's Justice League showing on Netflix. If it's showing on
Yes,
Netflix, then you're not. You shouldn't even have a subscription to Netflix because Netflix employs
yeah,
people. But the
yeah,
cinemas is different, so
yeah,
you could
yeah,
go see a movie in
yeah,
the cinema.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so that's
But
what I was
I don't
saying.
think they're going to close down cinemas. You understand? You're going to show movies same, but the strike going to have a big dent on the box office. But cinema is still going to be open. But the movies
Right,
that are making, they're stuck because of the strike. The movies that they're producing right
exactly,
now, they're stuck
exactly.
because of the strike. But yeah, yeah. But movies going to still show in cinemas. Many movies made already before the strikes. They have to release it to make some money. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Top Gun Maverick is now out, but it's not. They say it's not making money, but Tom Cruise is okay. Even if Top Gun Maverick don't make a billion, Tom Cruise is quite. Tom Cruise is rotten, Richard. Tom Cruise have over 800 million for himself already, so he's okay. And part two is
Yeah.
coming out next year.
Plus, all the actors got paid for that already.
Yeah, they get paid for that already, so they are okay.
Yeah, the only thing now is the studio to make back its money, which is they don't
Yeah,
care about. I mean, uh, the studio making all these hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie, and the actors
yeah,
not getting a percentage of that. That's not
yeah.
right. That
That's
ain't
not
right.
right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So
That ain't right.
they're striking for a good cause, and I wish them all the best. I wish them the
Yeah.
best. That's all I can say.
Yeah, because most of the people, when you say the studio makes so much money off a movie, okay, the
Yeah,
actor that's associated with this movie that grows so much money, they get,
yeah,
the next job they get, they'll have a higher paycheck. But other than that,
yeah,
do understand, most of that money going to the studio
yeah, yeah,
and executives. So they are the ones
yeah,
really making the money, the investors and all those
yeah,
producers and those people get back some
yeah,
money on the investment. That's all,
yeah.
you know.
Okay then. Thank you for
Yes,
allowing me on
man.
your live. My phone is at
Yes.
1%. I don't want to cut off on you.
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
It's 3 hours,
yeah.
almost
So
3 hours we've been talking. So I'm out of
yeah,
here.
so
I am
yeah, so
Christ, I
thank
am
you.
disciple. This is my brother
Yes,
here. Leroy Count, one of the best out there people. Let me tell you, this guy is solid like gold. He's a real nice guy. I love his channel. Every now and then I pass through. His channel, by the way, just tell him what your channel content is usually
I
be.
have 4 channels. Leroy Kong 2, Leroy Kong 3, and Leroy Kong 4. Subscribe to all 4 channels if you can.
Right? And he always shows DC content on his channels, and he also does bodybuilding with women. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes. All right. Take
Muscle
care.
women.
Thank you.
Muscle women. So y'all can check it out. Check out his channel. It's really great. I'll see you guys later.
Yes. So take care. Bye bye.
You
Thanks
too,
again.
man. All
All
right.
right.